Imagine Alice Cooper with about 1/100th the money.
If the Cramps had been a heavy metal band.
Crazy as H, blood-splattered, ear-splitting hilarity.
The Wizard of Oz meets splatter horror films.
The gag is, you're in the splash zone.
You're covered with goo and blood, and if you're not completely soaked, you didn't have a haunted garage show.
It's like going to a horror movie, except it's actually happening.
It's basically walking into the most brutal, gory film right in front of your face.
It was probably the best part of my life.
I think of him as a guy with commitment to his art.
That's Dookie. I mean, he wants to take it as far as he can take it.
You gotta see this band.
Wait a minute, you're gonna get this.
Oh, thank you.
Hello, it's me, Kevin Vonesper. Welcome to VonPod. It's a lovely Thursday evening here for me in New York State. How are you today? You guys feel free to interact with us in the comments. Tonight we have Cynthia Von Buhler, who I don't know how to describe her. Multidisciplinary artist, master of the aesthetics is what I said before the show started. Everything she does looks cool. It's one of those guests, they've kind of like come into my life, not personally, but like artistically, several different times in my life in different forms. And then it took me years to connect the dots and see that they were all connected through Cynthia. So I'm very excited to get into it. Let's just start the show, guys. I got the super chats if you're feeling nice. And and it's one of those days. Go get yourself a drink, have yourself a smoke, get comfortable, and enjoy the VonPod.
VonPod. Welcome to VonPod. I've got chicken heads and deli creeps, scary monsters and super creeps on VonPod. You're listening to VonPod. With aliens and scum dogs, I hope you're here to chat along to VonPod. Welcome to VonPod. You're listening to VonPod. You're watching VonPod.
Hello, Cynthia Von Buhler.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Oh, yes, let's do a little cheers. Yes,
Cheers.
cheers. What are you drinking over there?
I am drinking Pinot Noir. Some red wine.
I got some rum and some other stuff in here.
Hey, it changed color. Before the show, it was purple.
No.
It's not purple anymore. It looks like water.
Yes, it's not water. I don't know if it was purple, but I did say that it was grape. So maybe that just like got into your head.
Oh, maybe it looked purple with the background. I don't know. Or maybe was it in front of you? Put it in front of you. Yeah, maybe. Oh, there. See?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks darker.
Oh, okay. Well, cheers, everybody. Oh, hey, everyone's coming into the room now. Cool, everybody. Hello, hello. I don't even know where to start with you. That was like my biggest challenge approaching this interview is like, how do I start this show? So I guess I'll ask you.
Shouldn't we start the timer first?
Oh yes, we're gonna start the timer, and okay. When it runs out, I think I am going to.
Here's the timer. Can you see it?
What's gonna happen to us when it runs out?
Can you see it?
Yes, I see it. Like I said, everybody, the master of the aesthetic.
We're supposed to stop when it runs out, and I don't know how long it is.
And we'll see. We'll see if that works.
Unless we just can't stop.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's when our drinks are empty.
Right. But I'm making pretty good progress.
Oh, well, that means we got to get you talking because we want to prolong this a little bit.
Yeah.
So what I know of your artistic life starts at around 1993, I think. So tell me a little bit about what you were doing before that and how, maybe a summary of how you grew up and where you were at that time?
Wow, 1983. I grew up in the Berkshires of Massachusetts, and that's far, the opposite of Boston, like all the way on the other side of Massachusetts. And I grew up in a very artistic family. Everybody was doing art from when we were really little, and there were 6 children in the family. So we're Italian American. And so like I just grew up doing that. And then I went to school in Boston. And so I was there for a really long time. Like I stayed there after school, and I never went home. After 17, I left home and I never went back.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, to visit, of course.
Right. I got you.
I never moved back to that town again, because as lovely as it is, it's very boring. So, yeah, moved to Boston.
Around 1993. Were you in art school at the time, or like?
Yeah, I did. I went to art school, and it was kind of a smaller art school called the Art Institute of Boston, and it was in Kenmore Square, and it was great. I loved it, and I was there. And then after I graduated, I actually ended up working there as well. So I had work study, so I worked all different types of jobs. Like I started as a security guard and worked my way up to working for the president within, of course, like
security guard. How did you what was your resume to get the job of security guard?
That was a work study job, and they paid nothing, and you just had to sit at the door and check IDs for people coming in the door, but you just sort of.
You ever have any problems?
Yeah, guys would walk by because it was Kenmore Square and come in and hit on me.
Right. Okay.
And the same thing happened to me when I was an admin. I was like an administrative assistant in the window. That was worse because I'd be sitting there in the window with the phone, and that was the biggest problem. People coming in and just being like, "Oh, I keep seeing you." I love that.
Wow.
Those were different times.
And then, like, what were you doing artistically at the time? So, like, I didn't know you were a security guard, but like, what was happening in your art? Like, was there any like main projects in your life up to that point?
I mean, I was just in school, and I was studying. I switched around a lot, so I was in fine art, and I was in illustration for children's books. I took every class they had there, because when I graduated. And I was working there part-time after that and doing my art, I could take classes. So I took every single class that school offered. I took ceramics, I took wood cutting, I took photography. I mean, I already knew how to do a lot of different types of art, but one of my skill sets is I can do any kind of art, and I can do any style of art.
Yeah, and what's interesting about most of your projects is that it's not just one medium. It's like a show and a comic book and an album, and it's like so many forms, the same thing, but like artistically, I don't know. You always been like that?
I call that transmedia. That's like when you take one thing and you explore it in so many different ways, like a book, a play, and you can just take it and kind of see it from a different angle, and I really like that. Mm-hmm. So have I always been that way? I mean, my family is, yes, I did theater growing up. Where I grew up, there's a lot of theater. So yeah, I did a lot of theater and art and photography. I was basically doing all different types of art growing up too.
Right, and you still are, yeah.
And I still am, yeah.
Katie Squid is here. Hello, she said. Wait, I'm checking Cynthia's website.
Oh my God. I love that. Really? That's one of my children's books.
See, I'm not well versed in your children's category of books, but yes, like Cynthia's one of those people that you probably have seen her work even if you don't know who she is. And that's kind of how I fell into knowing who you were as well.
Yeah.
And I'll get into that as we go along.
Well, it's nice to meet you and nice to see you that you had my book. And I don't know if you came to any of the events that we had at some museums. I showed the sets. Actually, some of them are over there.
Oh, cool.
I have them in a cabinet. They're in a glass cabinet over there, and they're dollhouse sets that I built for that book. And we were making dollhouse sets in some museums and things like that. So maybe was it Katie? Maybe Katie was there.
Wow, Katie, were you there? So then, So when I first discovered you in some way, even though I didn't know your name for many years later, it was through music projects.
Yeah.
Which I've collected a bunch of over the years, and I think the first one that I know of is this compilation.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
This is
soon.
what this is about.
Soon.
This is about 93, I think, right?
Yeah.
So how did you get into the music world, and
well,
this, and what is this?
Okay, so getting into I love music. When I graduated college, I went to London for a year, and I actually studied the history of music. I studied art, like painting and drawing, but also the history of modern pop music in London. And so I was studying, we'd go to clubs in London, and this was 80. I mean, I'm dating myself, but it was like 85.
Wow.
Was it 85?
No, it couldn't have been 85.
Maybe that's when I don't know. I'm not. I'm really bad. I'm dyslexic.
Well, this is like 93, so.
Yeah. But this was like before
Right.
that. This was like before that. So
Okay.
anyway,
Could be. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm timeless, right? So,
Yeah, you kind of are. Well, I was gonna leave that question for the end of the show, but
yeah. But so like I love music, and I always wanted to do music, but I'm not talented in as far as singing. I can't sing, even though I tried. I took singing lessons, and I love music, and I have a really good ear for hearing songs that sound like other songs, but I just don't have perfect pitch, and I don't have I can't hear the right things. So I just loved it. And my first husband, Adam Buhler, he was a very talented musician. And when we met in London when I was in school. He was in school there too.
Interesting.
He had just graduated high school. And
wow. Yeah, I know. Like I know you had to have married really young. I think I have a picture of that in here.
You have a picture of me getting married?
Maybe.
Wow.
I don't know. I stole a couple things from your Facebook.
Oh my God. Yes, that is me. That's getting married with Adam.
Yeah, because Adam's a big part of the story. And of course, like I've talked to him online as well over the years.
Yeah, it was a period custom wedding. So
cool. Yeah, well, that's kind of a theme in your life, I think, too. But that makes sense.
I wanted it to be a Halloween costume wedding, but my mother said no. I wanted to wear a rubber dress, a rubber like S&M dress, but my mother said, no, you'll be too hot and whatever. So I wore this velvet.
Wait, she said no for practical reasons?
Yes.
Your mom is cool.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So she was probably right. You do get hot in those.
Yeah.
You know,
she was probably right on that one. Well, although that would have been a fun picture to have as well.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're gonna get into the rubber dresses in a little bit. Trust me.
Well, so Adam and I we even went into a recording studio when we were in London and recorded a song while we were there.
Oh yeah.
Just because I love music, and he was so talented, and he was like in high school he was in Black Tape for a Blue Girl, and
right. I've had friends who have been in that band over the years too. So I think we've had mutual friends, so we're gonna get into that.
He played music with Johnny Depp, I think.
Really?
Yeah, like they were like in a band, like maybe related to that in Florida. Okay. And then anyway, so he really got me more into music because it's something I love. And then he went to college. He went to Northwestern, and I went to Boston. Went back to Boston, and we had kind of an open relationship. We were still like seeing each other, but because we weren't living in the same place, we were seeing other people. And and then and I met John Zwiz in Sleep Chamber, and I just thought he was. I saw his show. A friend of mine called me up and said, "You get over here to the Rathskeller right now. You have to see this show. You'll die." And so I went to the show, and I'm like, I loved it. It was just it was performance. It was a performance art, right? And it was funny, but it was also sexy and weird, and I just loved it. And so then I became friends with him, and I became one of his dancers. And I wasn't.
Sorry to cut you off. I wanted to go back into, because I've heard the name Sleep Chamber through your work, not and I don't know much about them. So can you explain like what they sound like, or what their vibe is, or what's Sleep Chamber?
Okay, so so after that I found out he hung out, and Adam and I went and hung out we used to go to this Chinese restaurant. And then we heard music coming from upstairs, and it was like this shitty, crappy Chinese restaurant, and right across from the Prudential Center in Boston. And then we're like, let's check it out. So we went upstairs, and there was this bar up there, and it was all electronica music bands. Like Manufacturer was there, and John was there, and we just started going there like every night and just drinking and hanging out. And it was called Peking Tom's.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
it was, I guess it was also had been a porn. They used to show porn there. I don't know, like videos. It was like a cinema. Right. Anyway, but we used to hang out there, and that was fun. And we met all these bands, and that's when I started to get to know John. Did I go off track? I'm sorry.
No, you're leading into what is Sleep Chamber, or describe Sleep Chamber to me. But I liked this background story. See, this is why we have you here. And
yeah, Sleep Chamber is. He's still alive.
Oh,
unbelievable.
Is he still doing Sleep Chamber?
I don't know if he plays out anymore. He had a lot of drug issues. But he's like a gentle giant. He was like this, like everyone was scared of him, but he loved cats. He was really sweet. But he was just a drug addict. Like he did too many drugs, and he really was into the whole, like the whole black magic vibe, the whole Aleister Crowley vibe, the whole dark spells and all of that, but in kind of an innocent way. And he was a T driver, like the subway driver at some point.
Okay, yeah.
Like I think that was his job.
We all need our day jobs, yeah.
And he had like a Boston.
You mean
accent.
Sleep Chamber didn't pay the rent?
No, this was kind of before.
Okay.
Chamber, but people kind of like he had this really strong like Boston accent, but the show would be very dark, and there'd be incense burning, and all these gorgeous girls like scantily clad dancing around this guy. And basically he didn't really sing. He just sort of was talking like, and the music sounded like sneakers in a washing machine, kind of going, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, sure.
And then it would be like, warm leatherette. And that would be the whole song. And so, but it was just, I'd never seen anything so crazy, and people were having sex in the audience. Like it was like a
real vibe. Yeah.
It was really like something. And my friend Michelle took me there, and I just thought, this is so great. It's like hilarious, but it's also dark and scary and sexy, and I want to be part of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to be in his band, and he put me in. I did some weird numbers, like I did Subterranean Woman at the Man Ray Club, where I was completely naked, wrapped in saran wrap, and they put tubes through me with blood going through the tubes. And then I did this sort of Indian dance, like a weird Indian dance. Like I just did whatever he wanted. He'd be like, here's a song, come up with something weird. And so I was good at that, but I wasn't good at being subservient. I thought that was lame. Like the girls like all fawning over him.
Right. Yeah.
And so then he had another band called, I don't really want to say the name, but he had this other band.
I know what you're talking about.
And
you can't buy some of that stuff very easily.
Yeah, and he's like, well, can you do a stage show for it? And I'm like, well, okay. So he gave me the music, and I made a dancing show for it, and we did it at I think it was either Spit or Axis at the time. These are like very well known clubs in Boston. And people loved it. And it was just three of us. It was me. It was this Russian woman, this Russian Jewish woman who he had do a lot of his voiceovers because she had this great accent. And my best friend from high school. Like, and we just did these dances, and we looked great. I mean, I was really, really skinny, and like I looked really young, but people just loved it because it was weird. It was just like a crazy, weird show, and it just took off from there. And then I just said I wanted to do my own band, make my own music, and that's when Women of Sodom came out.
Right. And I didn't even ask yet, but you already introduced Women of Sodom. Yes. Yeah. So that's actually the first time I ever heard of you, and was when that was an active project. I was a little shock rocker.
That was the 90s. That was I think we were doing Women of Sodom from like 94 to 2000 was our last show.
That makes sense. Wow, that's longer than I thought.
Yeah.
I was probably a little too young to have been introduced to that, but I was a little shock rocker, like for the history. If anyone in the audience knows me, if it's theatrical and rock and roll and a little bit shocking, like it's probably in my wheelhouse,
Yeah,
like
I love your music. I heard your music in the opening and then on some songs, and you played with Brian Viglione and you played with Love her.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yes. So we can get into me later, but yes. Hey guys, go to vonesper.bandcamp.com and buy my record, and Monty Coppola's on it, and Brian's not on that one, but I have some more songs with him coming out soon, or eventually.
Yeah.
Man, and now I got off track. How did we go from Women of Sodom to Monty Coppola?
Oh, we're talking about music.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So I was a little shock rock kid, and I joined Green Jelly. I do a show about Guar here, and then, as you saw in the intro, I'm making a documentary about this band, Haunted Garage. I don't know if you had ever heard of them.
I haven't, but it sounds cool.
Then you are the target audience.
Yeah, it sounds cool.
And so if it was like anywhere in like that realm, I was into it, or I was discovering it.
Or several times.
I know that. Yes, that's one of my questions. Okay, yeah, we're skipping a little bit ahead, which is cool.
We skipped the whole record, the compilations, but that's okay because this came before that.
Okay, great. So let's just go in order then.
Yeah, the Woman of Sodom came before the compilations. Now, you have to understand that at the same time I was doing books, and actually this is when I started doing children's books. Which was a little weird.
What a dynamic.
Yeah, I was illustrating other people's at this time. I wasn't doing my own, but it was kind of like two worlds. And honestly, two parts of me.
Right, of course.
I'm very childlike, but I'm also had this other side that I was exploring, which was also being childlike.
Right.
So
let's talk about Women of Sodom, because I've known about this band, if you would call it a band or art project or whatever you want to say.
It is a band.
For like 30 years. So the first time I heard of you was like probably 30 years ago. I didn't know your name or anything, but I knew the Women of Sodom, for a long time. So I want to know all about it.
One of my burlesque dancers, Mia, she told me that she used to dance like to shows in New York.
Oh yeah,
my songs. Yeah, before we knew each other, before we started working together.
Yeah, because obviously you weren't really doing it under your name. I mean,
no, it was.
You had like the record label sort of tie in with your name, but
yeah, I had a kind of a fake name.
Right. Well, so do I. So we're both fake Vons, I think.
I was gonna say, like, that's like the elephant in the room. Like, I mean, we're both Vons.
Yeah, and we both made it up, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I didn't make it up. Someone else made it up, but
it's not. Yeah. You know what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, cheers to being a Von. Like.
Yes, cheers. Let's.
There's nothing better.
Have a drink to that for sure. All right. So, Women of Sodom.
Okay.
How would you describe it? What is it? How did that happen? I mean, you kind of just told me how it happened, but how would you describe that? And how did it last? Six years? Wow.
It was really popular. I mean, I kind of just fell into it because I met John. I wanted to be in a band. My husband didn't want me to be his singer because he really wanted a really good singer, and I couldn't.
Yeah. Yes, and at the time he was doing what, Siren Song, right?
Not
yet. Wow,
not yet. He was looking for a singer, and I was helping him look for a singer.
We'll get to that. Let's do Women of Sodom first.
Yeah. Anyway,
because that's a whole other block of this whole.
Oh God,
show.
I know. Yeah. So Women of Sodom. What is it like? It's performance art, really. It's women. Taking control. I mean, I grew up in a time of there's still sexism. I mean, it's bad, but it was even worse growing up. And it's women just taking control. It was the opposite of Sleep Chamber in the way that it was women being dominant to men. Not because we want to be, but it was sort of like, let's equal the playing field a little bit. And a lot of the songs were about religion and about sexism and religion. and being a strong woman and being a bisexual woman. And it was all women in the band except for Xavier, who's the maid there.
Right.
Xavier was a friend of mine. He was on one of the compilations and we became friends. And he loves electronica music, and he was willing to work with me and he had some electronic music, and we just started working together. And we had the same kind of sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so he would play guitar and I played vibrator guitar. Like I took the vibrator to the guitar.
Nice.
And then my sister was in it for a while. It was a constant change.
Your
I was the only
sister.
person who was in it. Xavier and I were in it the whole time.
Okay. Gotcha.
But it was, and Larissa, the Russian woman.
Mm-hmm.
She was in it till I fired her. I haven't fired her. But I guess so Xavier and I were the only two people who were in it the whole time.
Right. So was it like a live band? Were they actually playing instruments? Because I know you listen to the CD and you feel like you're getting half the picture because it's,
Yeah, it was we did have instruments. We played to a DAT tape. Do you remember DAT tape?
Yes, I had a DAT tape background once when I opened for Mindless Self-Indulgence.
I still have the DAT tapes. So if we could find a DAT player,
Wow.
we could do the show.
I can't do DAT tapes, but if you have VHS and cassettes, I can do that.
Yeah. But we had like a human drum. We tried so many things. We had this one person, we put drum pads on them and used them as a human drum.
That's awesome.
I had the vibrator guitar. Larissa played the 1-string violin. My sister played bass. Xavier played guitar, and I was the singer.
Mm-hmm.
But I would sometimes let some of the other other girls talk, or and then eventually we got Melissa.
Yeah.
And that just elevated the whole project because she's so talented.
She will elevate any project.
Oh my God.
We'll get into Melissa. Trust me, we'll talk about her.
It's such a talent. She's got my favorite voice, I found Melissa and I found Michelle Poppleton, who was in Siren Song, because I love their voices. They're both so talented. And, they had the voice I wish I had, and like very talented women.
This is a good time to say, you guys, this is sort of a compliment episode to when I talked to Melissa on the show, and we had a nice...
Look at you. You look so proper.
I know. Well, I'm still got the tie on. I gotta be a little proper.
Oh, okay.
But now I switched up the suit jacket for the leather jacket.
Okay.
But yes, Melissa and I talked. I think it was the most extensive interview she's ever done, and
she can be a little shy sometimes.
She's the only guest who didn't put on video for the interview, and I was just like, hey, if I can get you in any form, I don't care. Yeah. We still did like 2 hours,
Yeah.
So if you guys are interested in any of this, go check out her perspective of all of this. Because her story with you came in with, she met you because she was auditioning for someone who was going to be on one of your compilations.
Yeah. So I actually watched, I just listened to that episode.
Oh, great. Okay.
And because I saw her and I was like, oh, I got to listen to Melissa's. And Thomas Feliday was German, and he helped me. He was also on Woman of Sodom. He is the German voice in the background of the Boots song. And he taught me phonetically how to sing These Boots Are Made for Walking. He was a big part of that. And he introduced me to her. And he's a wonderful person. I haven't talked to him in a while, but he was also a very talented musician.
Excellent. Yeah. And Melissa, and do you, which compilation was that? Was that the one I showed?
He was on the first one. I think he was on soon.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Like, there were so many songs, and I illustrated I illustrated each one.
Symbian Project's on here. Wow.
Yeah, Symbian Project. So Symbian Project, I gotta tell that story, okay?
Okay, sure.
Okay. So Casson and I met on a train. And I think I was going to see my parents or something, and he had headphones on, and he sat next to me, and he proceeded to kind of hit on me. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was like, but I was engaged to Adam, and like I'm a lot older than him, but I thought he was adorable, and we became friends. And then I introduced him to Adam, and that's how he joined Splashdown.
Right.
And also he started dating my sister.
Oh, okay.
And they dated for a really long time.
That's funny.
Yeah. Love Kessin. Very
you know what, I filmed Freeze Pop once, but I don't know if he was in the band at the time.
Yeah, he was I think he was in Freeze Pop for a while, but I don't know how long.
Yeah,
but I know them too. Like I'm friends with them too. Like
right, yeah, because I feel like if I had known someone from Splashdown was in a band that I was filming for a party that I was working for, that I'd be really excited about it, you know. So I don't think he was there, but
yeah.
Well, okay, we're not done with Women of Sodom. Okay. I know I need to go back to that because I feel like I'm just so fascinated with this project. There's not much out there anymore about it.
Yeah, I kind of toned it down a little.
Or,
there's a website out there, and you can find things about it.
Yeah.
In some ways, it was a little seminal. Like it kind of like you can still listen to it now, and it sounds modern.
It is on Spotify.
And so I became friends with the head of A&R at MCA. When I negotiated the deal for Splashdown at Capitol, and that was going through all of that. Like I got really into the whole record label thing when we had our record label. I was helping a lot of bands, and I had my band, and the head of MCA really was like taken with me, and like so he wouldn't sign Woman of Sodom. He's like, this band is amazing, and you are amazing, but it's too weird. I can't sign you to.
Right.
And now it's nothing. Like now, if he had the vision, because he signed Garbage.
Okay. Wow.
And if he was Australian, if he had the vision, he could have. But my other band, Countess, which I don't know if you know about, I had.
Yes, I do. I have that too.
He gave me a demo deal. So he gave me money. He just sent me a check from MCA and said, "Okay, here's a demo deal to make your album. Do what you want with it. I'm not signing you, but you're amazing."
Okay, well, let's put Countess on hold as well. I know you're. Yes, I want to talk about all of this. I told you this is going to be, you know, I don't know what.
He did hit on me, and I wouldn't sleep with him. So, so like maybe if I had, I would have. It would be a different story right now.
Right? Yeah, you would be inaccessible to me at that point.
Either that or the other direction. Sometimes, like if they get what they want, then you get nothing. I would have probably not even received the demo deal.
Yeah,
so it could go in two directions. Who knows?
Right.
But I can say that now because he's dead. He died.
Oh, okay, got you. Yeah, well then let's talk shit. No.
Yeah, I mean, nice guy, but yeah, he did hit on me. Totally.
Sure. I don't even know what the questions I want to ask. I'm just like, so I want to know all about it. What were the highlights of the career of Women of Sodom? And did you ever like go on tour or anything, or was it just kind of a local?
We went on tour, yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. We we played so many shows. We always sold out, and it was always packed. And we had to be in big clubs because it was very popular. And I got a lot of press in Boston. And so like anytime I did anything, I would just send out. Oh, because when I was at art school, I learned how to write press releases. I became the PR director. And I was looking for the president and so I learned how to write press releases and send out photos. So I would just put it in the same format. Like no other bands learn how to make press releases.
Yeah, I was wondering like that. I guess that's sort of the background leading into you managing Splashdown and all that.
I remember once Amanda Palmer asked me, "How do you get all this press? Like, why is everyone so interested in you?" I'm like, "I just send out press releases." And then she started doing that. I'm like, "Look it up." But yeah, press release. I knew how to do it, and like you send a good picture and a good press release, and they'll write about you. So and we were doing interesting things.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So like we would get a lot of press, but it was a very popular band. Like I still meet people today. Like there was some like famous comedian. He's like, "I was a slave in one of your shows."
Oh wow.
I'm like, seriously? Like I like, you know, we had a lot of we would put PR, like not PR, we would put like newspaper people in the like reviewers in the shows, and we did so many crazy things. I mean, the show was like very visual. I mean, I can't even describe. Like we had one song called I'm a Rocket, which never got recorded. And we would take I would wear this big metal, strap-on metal thing. And then we would take, at the time, a lot of electronica bands were doing things with sparks.
Right, sure.
I think I went to Chicago and I saw Chris and Cozy or somebody, and they were putting sparks into the audience. I'm like, that's cool. So we put a drill on it. You put a metal drill on it, and it shot sparks into the audience, and it was like this crazy song. And I remember that song, "I Am a Rocket," was hilarious because I could never. There was one high note, and I couldn't hit it, and I'd be like, Melissa, whenever it comes to that part, I'm gonna go out of tune, and you need to just bolt, just completely take me down and come in with hit that note.
That's funny.
But we never recorded it because I don't know. We didn't record all our songs.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the recording, it seems like almost like secondary to the experience, right?
Yeah. I mean, my favorite song, I don't know if you've heard, is "Crash My Car."
Sounds familiar, but is it on the album? I don't know all the names.
And I told Gary Ashley at MCA, you have to sign us. This song is a hit. "Crash My Car," it's a hit. And he's like, no, it's too weird. It's too weird. But it was so good. And I think Melissa had something to do with that. I think she wrote the chorus or something.
Where was it released on something?
I think it might have been on one of I think it was on the very final compilation.
Okay, cool.
Anon?
Yes. So let's go back into that, and then maybe we'll dip back into Women of Sodom. Oh, we definitely will. So here's the other two compilations.
Yeah.
I know one was later in the 90s, but I feel like they're complement pieces.
Soon, and then it was Anon, and then it was not.
Yeah, right. But these have the matching sort of packaging, and I just want to show everybody this. I mean, this is a lot. This seems like a lot of work,
I have a lot to say about that.
Yes, please do. It's like a double. What is this? This one's a double disc. Every song has a complement art card, right? Yeah. It's a very extensive project. I did that one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this one. That's you.
Lisa Germano. Oh, I love Lisa Germano. She was on 4AD. So talented.
Oh wow.
I don't know if you've ever heard her album. It's so amazing.
No, but I want to. Yeah, go ahead.
I illustrated. Rolling Stone called me. I was doing illustration at the time, and they asked me to do a painting for them for Lisa Germano, and so I did a painting for Rolling Stone, and then I went to her concert and gave her the painting, and we became friends.
Nice.
I haven't talked to her in a long time, but yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, how did these come about? Why did you put so much work into this? It seems like,
I have the answer. I'm ready to give you the answer.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. So going back to art school, which was really important to me, and my jobs there, which I probably learned more from my jobs, from security guard to to admin to registrar to all the different jobs I had there. But the PR job, which was my final shining job there, I met, I didn't meet him. Actually, Clifford Stoltz Design. He was one of my teachers when I was in design. I took classes with him. And I loved his work. He was a really talented guy. He designed all of those. Not only that, Clifford was part of our record label. So Clifford was, he was a co-owner. It was me, Adam, and Clifford. And we all got to sign bands, and we all were part of it, but he did all of this. And we paid for the design, we paid for the manufacturing, but he gave us his design time for free.
Right. Yeah, because weren't these benefits or something as well?
Yeah, I'll get to that too.
Okay,
that's
cool.
the most important thing. But Clifford, I hired him to design the catalog for the school when I was back in that job, and so we became we worked together before, so we became friendly even after I had left school, and I was no longer in design. I went into illustration, but so he designed these, and the story behind it was that in college, my best friend in college was named William Lincoln Tisdale, and I met him when I was only 17, and he came in and he was wearing he was gorgeous, and he was gay. And he came in with a pink sweater around his shoulders, and he came into class, and we all put our work up on the you get critiqued. We all drew.
Right.
And there was only one with pink paper. It was like pink charcoal paper. And the drawing was exquisite. It was the best. It was like, he was so good. He was like so talented. And like, I just like was immediately drawn to him just because he was, first of all, I had never really been friends with somebody who was that openly gay. And we just became best friends. We partied, we went out everywhere. We just were like this. We moved in together. We were just like best friends. And his work was so good. He was a great poet, and he was an amazing artist. Best poet I've ever read, and like one of the best artists I've ever met, honestly. And he later got AIDS, and I can tell you the story about it. Like, we would go to clubs, and we would both be promiscuous, but he had a drinking problem. And he would go out and whatever. And, we lived in this one beautiful room in Beacon Hill. And it was like this gorgeous room. And we decorated it so beautifully, but it was one room. So like I lived in this little loft above, it was like anything that goes on in that room, you're there, So like, anyway, he would go out and do his thing. And then, but like, then we were like, one day when we found out about AIDS, we're like, we should go get a test because we both have been in the scene. And we went and got our tests, and mine came back negative right away, and his didn't come back. They said they were retesting it. And then he ended up having AIDS, and took a long time for him but he died before he turned 30. Oof. And so this was at the time, I don't know if you remember, I mean, you're younger than me, but it was a really big thing. It was like we were losing so many people, so many friends, so many artists. And so I wanted to do something for the AIDS Action Committee to raise awareness, to help artists, to get when he died, he gave me his art to like display. So I used his art in it. Like his art is on one of the covers. The Nye cover is his art. That's one of his etchings. And, and so like so that it was basically a thing to help and to get money to the AIDS Action Committee. So, and the idea of soon, nigh, and anon, it all means soon there'll be a cure. Like eventually there'll be a cure. Anon, you know what I mean? Like it's like soon. We were just thinking of different words that kind of mean soon or coming, whatever. So that's what it was about. And it got a lot of press. And at the time I was in a band and I was managing a band, and I was also
Women of Sodom.
I was in Women of Sodom. I was managing in one Siren Song and the other Splashdown. Right. And I knew all the bands in town because I was just out there in the scene. But I also knew all of the illustrators. And so I was trying to get into some of the award books at the time, and I had just changed my style to Cynthia Von Buhler. I was Cynthia Carosa before. That was my maiden name. So I would change my style, change my name. And then this just blew up. It won all these design awards, and it won all these illustration awards. I got into all the award books. It broke me into the award books, like American Illustration, which I just got into last year for the Cthulhu.
Oh, congratulations. Wow.
So I've been consistently getting into those. I used to enter all the time when I was really doing a lot of illustration, but it got me into that whole scene. So it helped a lot of the illustrators who work I liked, who had, I knew from RISD, I knew from different schools, and they won awards. So we would take this and we sent it to record labels and we sent it to art directors. So the art directors would hire the illustrators for work, and the record labels would then, maybe sign a band. So that was the whole idea.
Was it a success? It sounds like it was a success.
Oh my God. It was an enormous success. I mean, it was totally successful. It got bands just put them on the radar. They got shows. We did so many shows for this. We just took all the clubs in Boston and we did all the bands and we did all the shows. We got so much press, so much shows. I had made so many friends. And at the time, Adam and I bought a house in Alston. The house I'm named after, Cecil Von Buhler. The purple house we bought in Boston. And we were doing parties there. We were doing shows there. It was that was the name of the label, Cecil Von Buhler. It was who I became, Cynthia Von Buhler. So I made
this logo.
a friend of mine, I think Clifford did that. He did all of our design. So like a friend of mine came to our house. His name was Tattoo Mike. He had tattoos all over his body. And he was friends of Adam. And he said, oh, this I had decorated. I was like so excited to have a house, you know, like a Victorian house after. And I love dollhouses. So I like totally like painted vines up the walls. It was insane. It was like very like my art was all over. It was just a museum. It actually did become a sort of a museum later. Like, and even the like, what is the big show in Boston, in New York City? The art show. Like they were coming to my house to find artists to put in the Whitney Biennial. Like because it became that like arty, you know? But the house was amazing, and that's where I got my name because Tattoo Mike said, "This is Castle Von Buhler," and I was like, "That sounds good."
Well, that answers that question. Yeah, got that one done. Nice. And then I guess is that how you kind of led into managing bands and things like that? You know, that's like, what an interesting trajectory. You know. Like suddenly you're managing a band and signing them to a major label, which I guess this is kind of like the next part of the story.
Well, I started managing bands because I just wanted to help these really talented people. Like I think that like, I mean, I feel like Splashdown, they were like the Beatles. They were like so good. Like, I mean, just listening to their songs, they were like what they would get in one room, and the three of them, what they would make was just blow my mind. I would be crying. Like it was each one of them brought something to the table like that the other didn't have. And they were just so talented together, and they were but they were all kind of shy and nerdy and humble, and and I'm like this is amazing. So I was basically their PR. Like I would basically part of the band almost. Like they would just go and hide in the back room while I was going and schmoozing and getting them the shows. You know what I mean? Like, they were just so talented, but they were not talented at PR.
Right. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Well, this is a good spot to I guess insert myself into the story again, which is, you know, so I knew about Women of Sodom when I was younger and in my shock rock. You know, I'm still in my shock rock phase, but you know. It was like the genesis of all that, and you were definitely part of it. And then year later, when I'm in college, my roommate at the time had been to a previous college and worked at their radio station and had the actual Blue Ship promo CD. And he's like, "You have to hear this fucking band," and I was like, I fell in love with that record. And then for the next 20 years. Until I started being able to talk to you guys on a YouTube channel, I was like, this is like probably one of the best albums I've ever heard. And there's an interesting story there because, spoiler alert, it was signed to a major label, finished the whole record, and then never came out.
I know.
So maybe we can just skip to that because that's the most interesting part of the story. Like, what happened from your perspective? How does this?
Did you ask Melissa this?
Of course, yeah.
I don't know if I got that far into the.
I think. Oh, okay, yeah. We definitely got there. I think her perspective was more like that she was sort of hidden from a lot of that background stuff. So you're the source of this question, I think.
I wish I was hidden from it. Please, right. I wish I was hidden from it. It was probably one of the worst times of my life.
Okay, wow.
And it was when
we got some pictures.
You get something and you think, okay, I got this thing for us, and now we did it. We got the deal. Now they're going to be famous. And they actually, like, Glenn Ballard, who was in charge of this whole thing, was like, you guys just get used to people, like, you're going to be famous. You're going to be like, they're recording in Michael Jackson's, studio. They're meeting Gwen Stefani. They're having dinner with her. It was like kind of blew my mind, but at the same time, they were enjoying some of those things, but Adam and I were more, we knew what was really going on. which was
right.
which was they like okay, here's what happened. Oh God, it's like gonna give me nightmares.
I'm sorry. Yeah. This is a roller coaster
the top
ride.
floor,
What's that?
we had that top floor for 2 years. It was ours.
Wow.
Because Glenn Ballard had they gave him after Alanis Morissette, they gave him the top floor, and they were just and Splashdown were just living there. I mean, not living there, but they were there every day, working, making music for about 2 years. So here's what happened. I don't know if Melissa even fully is aware of this, but she should probably listen to this now.
I'll send it to her. Yeah, for sure.
It's like pretty painful for all of us, but it painful for people whose dreams, it's like my dreams were partially my dream, but my dream was to do my art and to do what I'm, do. But like,
but you were part of it. I mean, your husband.
They're my babies. It was like baby for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like I birthed this thing in a way. Like I met them and brought them together.
Right, exactly.
And I just thought they're so talented, and I really believed in it. Like I still do. But so I was the one who talked to the heads. I talked to the head of I can't remember his name, but he was the head of Capitol Records at the time. He's the one who wanted to sign them with Glenn. And he was like, I love it. We're going to put them out on MTV, and we love them. We're going to make videos. We love it. They're so good. This is like amazing. And then all of a sudden the Beastie Boys decided to start their own label, and
Grand Royal.
And he became their label head. So you could look up what his name is. I can't remember his name, but I talked to him. I met with him, and he loved them. And he was like, we're going to make this band. It's so good. And then he went to Grand Royal, and our A&R guy went to Grand Royal, Craig Aronson. And we were left with just Glenn Ballard and his team of people. And then they hired Roy Lott. I'll never forget that name. He became the head of Capitol Records, and I met with him, and he's like, I don't hear a hit. And at the time, like, I can't remember, like, they were like, the music was like very, very poppy. And it was just like, first in the beginning, it was kind of like, oh, we want you to be more like, Nirvana like, or like, rock, like kind of, and then it became very poppy all of a sudden, like Spice Girls poppy or
right.
Stuff. And he's like, I don't hear a hit. And like, they're not that kind of music. Like, it's beautiful. It's striking.
I think every song is a hit.
I do too.
Yeah.
And then Glenn even wrote them a song called I Understand.
Oh, right. Yeah, of course. I'm obsessed with this record.
I love I Understand, even though
Me too. I think it's a great song.
I had a big fight with Glenn. We had our thing out, or we had some words, but I Understand was a beautiful song. He's an amazing songwriter, and it's as good as a Beatles song.
Yeah, it's a great song. Yeah,
and I'm not just saying that. I mean, he worked with Elton John. Like it's an amazing song. Like, and
is that weird for them to accept a song that they didn't write, or did they have any part in writing it?
Melissa, they did write it. They wrote it, like they wrote the music for it. Like he wrote the melody line, and then they played in it. And Melissa, she helped with the melody line, and like, they all did it. They were in the studio together. Okay. But he came up with the main hook, and because he was like trying to give him a hit, and he's like, I'll give you a hit, and he gave him a hit.
Yeah, that's a hit.
I Understand is a beautiful song. The band, it wasn't their favorite song because it was more like, they also did a song called Sugar High. I didn't. Yeah,
that's what Melissa said was like they were
trying to write hits, and like it's like this happens all the time, and I'm experiencing some of this now, which we'll talk about later. But like, like they sign you, and they want you, and they want what you do, but then they want to change it. And then they want to put a producer on it, and they want to put famous people on it, and they want to, and then it's no longer you.
Right.
And then it loses the essence that they wanted in the beginning. But still, it's still good because they're all good. So
I think Sugar High is an incredible song too.
Sugar High is great. They're all great. Honestly, I don't think they have a bad song.
No, I don't think so either. That's why I'm just like, how was this not like the biggest album of 99 or 2000 or whatever?
I don't know.
Holy shit.
I mean, I tried. I feel like it's my fault Like you're gonna be my therapist now.
Yes, that's what I'm here for.
I tried everything I could. Like and they were not like, I tried everything. I got in a fight with Glenn because I sent something to Roy Lott and Roy Lott showed Glenn and Glenn called me screaming and then I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be the manager anymore. Glenn didn't want me to be the manager. It was just like, it was a nightmare for me. I think it was worse for me than any of them. And I don't know if the band knows that. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how much the band, like, really, there's a lot there. Like, I went, like, to a dark place.
Yeah, Melissa was kind of like, I don't really know exactly, what happened. She was there, but.
Yeah, because, like, I don't think they could, Melissa's a very sensitive person. I don't know if she could handle a lot of this. Like, I would say things to them, but, but I couldn't. It was just, it was just bullshit. Like, maybe she blocked it out. She was in some things. She came to a meeting with me when I met with some of the people, oh God. I mean, I've never been interviewed about this like this. This
is the meat for me. Like,
holy shit.
This is like one of my favorite records of all time.
Well, thank you. And you and I are going to agree on that. Like, that record is not every song they wrote was gold.
And when I discovered Splashdown, I had no idea who you like. The Women of Sodom and this were like connected in any way. It took me years later to figure that out, because there was no. I'm a guy who likes to read all the credits, but there was no fucking credits to read because the album never came out.
Oh, I know.
So it was just like music and really no names, and just like a little bit of information.
And then it broke down. Like, okay, so first of all, not only did they not put the album out, but then they took my husband away for 2 years.
What do you mean? What happened?
And they basically, I'm not Russell, that's my new husband. Adam basically, and Melissa and Casson were all living in LA. And sure, they would fly me out to the meetings, but I was living in Boston and they were living for 2 years. They were living in LA in Capitol Records Tower, making music. And I was taking the calls and dealing with the bullshit in Boston.
And, oh, wow. So there's like a disconnect geographically to this as well.
Well, like, not great for my marriage that my husband, not only did my marriage become a business,
right? Yeah,
but my husband was taken away from me and was in this thing, and it was like it was almost like a death. And they say sometimes if your child dies, you can't stay together anymore.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
That's what happened to us. I love Adam to this day. We are we love each other, but it was a death for us. It's sad. This is sad. I'm sorry. I need more wine.
Yes, please drink. Yes. Like, I know it's sad, but hopefully there's enough time removed where it's the world needs to hear this story. And I've never heard it before. And that's why I wanted you, people like you on the show. Like, this is what I want to know.
No, thank you for asking.
We haven't even talked about your comic books or anything yet, but like, this is like the meat for me. Is like, I'm a musician.
Yeah.
I came into Women of Sodom in a very, a special time in my life when I was discovering music, and then I splashed down the same thing.
Yeah.
Totally unconnected to each other, and then it's like, oh, you're like the center of all of this, and that's like so interesting to me.
Yeah, I was, and it was really hard, and like for the longest time I couldn't even listen to music.
Ouch. Wow, really?
I did Countess, which was
so let's skip to Countess for a little bit, which, yes, of course, I have the Countess CD as well.
Okay.
There's some screaming stuff on here. That's what I liked most about your voice.
I like trying a lot of things. I like trying different things.
Yeah.
I like the t-shirt. We used to have those t-shirts. Do you see the t-shirt?
Oh yeah. Is that one?
I love the t-shirt. Okay.
So was this? Yeah. Okay. Let's we can come back to those other projects, but let's skip over to Countess. Okay. What was Countess, and I always figured, like, was this sort of like a response to your experience with Splashdown and the record industry and everything, right?
Yes.
And this was also like sort of you're not getting the whole story with the CD because this was a visual project as well, right?
Yeah, it was like a rock opera.
Yeah. So tell me about that.
So everything went down. Yeah, that's me with my blonde wig.
Yeah. This is like your
so
rock
funny,
star persona, your pop star persona or whatever,
yeah,
right?
after like Women of Sodom, I always wore black rubber.
Mhm,
I'm wearing
right.
pink rubber, so it was like definitely.
There's the contrast, yeah.
Yeah. That was.
And look, there's a Castle Von Buhler catalog or whatever.
Yes, so we had a lot of
cool is
great
that?
albums. Oh, we had the Moors, and we had Betwixt, and we had so many great bands. Siren Song, and yeah. My band was
I'm being distracted.
My band wasn't even on that label.
Really? Oh. Yeah, that was Pussy Kitten
My band was
Records or
like,
something,
too
right?
weird to even be on our own label.
Wow.
We had our own label, Pussy Kitty Records.
So that was exclusive just to Women of Sodom?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Hey.
Hey.
But that was also before this, so I mean, was it relevant anymore? You know, like would you have put it out on, or what existed first?
Different. It was different. I mean,
Yeah.
I could have. It's my label. I could have.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I agreed that we didn't want it wasn't the look and the sound of it.
Right.
It was a totally different thing. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wouldn't fit there.
So tell me about Countess. You know.
All right. So Countess was my own. When I go through hard times, all of my art comes through pain, and so everything that I either pain or stories or things I've been through or hardship. So everything I make, every painting or drawing, it's basically me kind of like getting it out. Otherwise, it festers. So I had to get out what happened with Splashtown. So I made this rock opera about the music industry. And it is basically a fake character named Alicia. And she is a pop star and what she goes through. And I think the story was kind of a combination of what I personally went through with Woman of Sodom and what Melissa went through. It's not Melissa's story. It's more my story. But it is also Splashdown story about like make a hit, we need it, like there's different songs on there, like about making hits and about dumbing it down and about getting breast implants and all kinds of crazy shit.
Was that something that was requested of somebody?
No, I have my designer reel, but nobody requested anybody to get breast implants, but it happens.
Yeah.
And like I'm reading about, like I'm also thinking about like Britney Spears in this. Like,
yeah, there's definitely a reference to her in this, or a parody of her in this.
What happened to me? What happened to Melissa? And what happens to women in the music industry?
Yeah, because this was in context. This was around the time when I'm guessing when Britney shaved her head and all that stuff was happening, right?
It was from 1999 to 2000. It was 1 year. I did it for 1 year. We played all different shows in New York and in Boston. We played the Paradise, played pretty big clubs. And it was basically, I just did it for 1 year. And it was, and we put the album out. MCA paid for it. Had the demo deal. I didn't have to pay for it because he believed in what I was doing, what I was saying, even though Oedipus, the radio DJ, the big radio DJ in Boston at WBCN for years, was narrator. He reads from their actual contract. From Splashdown. It's actually, if you listen to that album, it's Splashdown's actual contract. And so
I mean, I did listen to this again the other day. What was he saying from the contract?
He's just reading the contract. And like, but it's like it's my fantasy about getting revenge.
What was the story exactly? Because obviously I only have the audio component.
It didn't happen, but in the story, if you listen to it through, it's like, she becomes a pop star, they sign her, and then they want her to make hits and everything, and then she goes crazy, and then she like commits suicide, but then there's like
on stage, right?
Well, she's going to, I can't remember. It's like there's a suicide, a murder, maybe, but in the end, but LA's earthquakes come and just take it all out.
Right. Yeah. So that's the twist. It's
like, bring on LA's earthquake, wash it all away. It's like, I mean, I don't want LA's earthquakes to come, but it was just basically like, this is just washing this out of my brain, washing the pain of the whole music industry out of my brain.
Did it work?
Well, it was really cathartic for
Mhm.
me. And Adam, it was the first time Adam and I were in a band together.
Right. Okay. Well, did he never had anything to do with Women of Sodom?
Never.
Wow. Okay.
No, he didn't touch it. It wasn't
Okay.
it wasn't, he didn't touch it.
Mhm.
He liked it. He enjoyed it. He thought it was cool. Like, everybody thinks
Right.
it's cool, but it's not.
Sure.
Like, my husband now, he's a violinist, a jazz violinist. It's like, he loves it, but it's also
Mhm.
like, it's, it's different.
Mhm.
It's not, I understand that. It's like, it
Sure.
would be like, I mean, I don't want to paint with crayons. Like, in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
it's like, with crayons. You know what I mean? Like, you want to have your proper tools. Like,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm sure
For some reason, I just assumed he had something to do with Women
nothing.
at
He had
some point.
nothing to
Wow.
do with it.
Just a fan. That's cool.
Yeah, but other than the fact that he liked S&M, but
Great. Yeah. Who doesn't?
yeah. So like, I forgot where I was going with that, but yeah.
I guess just doing the Countess and being a cathartic experience.
Oh, it was the first time I worked with Adam, and it
Mhm.
actually did really well. It got really good press, and it did really well. Like, we got this demo deal, and he wanted to continue doing it. And I'm like, no, you had your chance to work with me all these years. You never did. We did it. Now I'm leaving. And then I moved to Boston.
Oh, okay.
And then we got separated. And
Right.
it was like, at that point, it was.
Why would there have been like a part 2 to the story, or would it have been a
No, it
different
was done.
story? Or yeah,
I-
because it seems like when everyone dies at the end, that's kind of the end of the story.
I mean, maybe he was thinking it would be a different thing. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, maybe he wasn't even. I don't know if he was even serious. I think he was just sort of like, didn't want me to leave.
That's fair.
I don't know, but I was just done with music, done with Boston. I wanted to focus on my art, which was also doing really well. Like, my art was doing well. My books were doing well. My art was doing well. I was getting shows and galleries in New York. I was getting in all the top magazines, and I wanted to move to New York. So
Go with the flow, right?
and he didn't want to move to New York. So I moved to New York, and then I moved to New York a month before 9/11, actually.
Oof.
And so, like, I had an apartment there, like, during that. But I was also living in Boston. We still had our house. And it's funny, to this day, I still have dreams that I still own that house. Even though we sold it, I still have dreams that I own that house, and that, like, I'm like, oh my God, that house has just been sitting there. I need to do something with it. Oh my God, there's like homeless people living in it now. Like, because I have just like, but I don't own it.
Drive by it and like.
I have, but it's like, I still have that house. Like, I still have dreams about it. But anyway, maybe I'll buy it someday. But
hey, yeah, have a cool party. Invite me.
Make it
Please.
a music museum. But
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, like,
Where did the name? Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So then I decided to move to New York, and then I never did music again. I was just like, okay, I did it. I'm doing my art now, and I never did music again. I never sang again. I never performed again. I was done.
Perform in any way, or?
No, I performed in different ways, like in theater.
Yeah, right.
I started doing theater productions.
Right. Yeah, we'll get to that a little bit.
Oh my God, this is only the tip of the iceberg.
I know, isn't that crazy? I told you this was gonna go. But this is like the music. That's the part that is most interesting to me.
I know.
But we're definitely going to talk about.
I love that you asked me, because no one ever has.
Well, I want to create things that I want to see in the world, and because I've never in 30 years, I'm like, I can't believe nobody's talked about this in an interview. I've looked everywhere, and it doesn't exist. So I had to create it myself.
Thank you, because no one's ever asked me, and honestly, it's very cathartic for me to just basically talk about it, and maybe Melissa or Cassin or Adam will see it and see my perspective on it, because I was really in the weeds there. It was really I was dealing with the assholes, like, and they were making music.
I mean, Cassin was in the chat when Melissa was on the show, so he's aware of this,
Yeah,
existing.
he wasn't aware. Like, he was aware of it, but maybe from a different.
Or I mean, he's aware that I exist on this channel.
Oh yeah, of
talking to
course.
people. So
I'm glad he was there. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a surprise to me too. I was like, oh my God, like, and then I've talked to not in person or anything, but I've interacted with Adam over the years and stuff like that.
Yeah.
On
We should
Facebook.
interview Adam.
Yeah, he's the next one. I got to get him on the show.
His perspective.
Yeah. All right, it's gonna happen. Yeah. And just to kind of skip to the present for a moment. Since the episode with Melissa, and she was kind of like couldn't say too much about it, but Splashdown has put out some new old music since then, or they've completed some old songs and put out some new stuff. And I feel like when she was talking about it, that you had something to do with facilitating that. Is that true? Or
well, I've been trying to get them back together like from day one. Like they
Right.
kind of broke up when I left.
right.
I think I was.
So is that why they broke up? I mean, obviously.
No, I mean, Casson said like, if Cynthia's not going to do it, I'm not going to do it. I feel like I was kind of a glue that kind of held it together in a way, but also like I had to go live my own life. And but I've been trying to get them back together on their own and for years. But then Adam almost died.
Oh yeah, I feel like I remember that.
And he had kidney disease, and then he had like two things. He had kidney disease, and then he had cancer, and he actually almost died. And then I talked to him on the phone. He's like, "Oh my God, I almost died. I woke up during surgery, and oh my God, I'm just like," he was in a really bad. He was like on death's door, pretty much. And so I thought, you know what? I'm like, when I get really like that, like I might die. I think about what legacy do I want to leave with my art? What's my legacy project? So I'm like, you need to do some music and have a purpose that will help you if you're sick and you might die. The best thing to do is to make something. And that's what they did. They went back and did some music, and that was really, I think it was really healing for him. And now he's doing better. He's doing well.
That's good. Yeah. I don't know how successful releasing the new songs has been for them, but I know the fact that it happened at all, and I kind of was part of that journey along the way, the small part, I'm just
thank you. No, it was cool, and it's really good too, they're not in a position where they could actually tour. They passed something in Japan, and Melissa doesn't really like to go out play live, and Adam is has a family, and he's help, so.
I mean, last I remember him doing music was at the Anarchy Club stuff. I haven't heard about that in a while. I don't know what he's doing these days, but
yeah, he was doing that. I think he still works with Keith.
Okay, cool. That was interesting because I was like, wait, you're kind of like a horror punk band? I didn't expect that coming.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
No, I don't know that side of him. I know him from Splashdown, you know what I mean?
Adam is kind of like me. He can do, he's really talented at music, and he can do different styles. Sure. As long as it's good, he's good at it. But I also can do different styles of music, and I certainly have things I prefer. But I can do kind of I can go off doing this comic book stuff isn't my usual style.
Right. It's not you.
No, I mean, I do paintings. I do these sort of Renaissance style surrealist paintings, and doing this became a whole new thing. So
let's all right. Well, let's skip to comics for a little bit. Let's skip around the timeline, because comics is kind of the thing that you're most known for now, currently, I would say, right? How do people still buy comics? How does that work?
What?
Do people still buy comic books and stuff?
Oh my God, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know in music, it's how do you sell a physical product? It's a very niche market these days compared to what it was 20 years ago. What's the story with comic books?
It's really interesting. My publisher for the comics is Titan Comics in London, and they own Forbidden Planet. In London, it's they're opening a new store there too. And
there's one in New York, right?
Yeah, I think they sold that one. They own that one and they sold it. But Titan Comics is really interesting. And I met them through Charles R. Dye, who Charles does hard case crime novels, which are old pulpy kind of crime novels. And we became friends because my husband worked with him years ago. My husband worked with him at Juno. Juno was one of the first internet companies. I don't know if you remember.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. Wow. That's a flashback. Wow.
Or something my husband was working with him, and so like when he's like, oh, you got to meet Charles. He likes to write too. And he came to my plays, some of my plays, and we became friends. And I said, I have this great idea for a comic book called The Girl Who Handcuffed Houdini. Because I was just thinking that Houdini I've always found him interesting, but the fact that he was so into handcuffs, he must have been into S&M.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
Like, so like the whole idea.
So it all ties back to Women of Sodom, really.
It does.
Yeah.
But it's like, in it, it's like all based on real facts about him. Like
Right.
all of these Mickey Woodcock comics I don't really call them comics. I call them graphic novels, but they do. So what they do, it's really interesting. As we're talking about sales.
We got your props, right? Yes.
We'll talk about sales. We'll talk about sales first, and then we'll talk about what the whole premise is. But they do all of these comics. It's like I had no idea because I'm not from the comic world. I mean, I read them when I was a little girl,
right?
And I love to play with them and cut them out and everything. But see this? This is like that's like one. Like
they're all variants on the same issue.
Yeah, there's variants. So they do 5 variants on each chapter. So the book has 4 chapters. So they'll do 5 variants, all these different covers. I do one. I did that one. You know, I did actually, you know, and then we hired only women for this one, all women. They're beautiful covers. And so then basically they put out all these covers and people buy every one. People are into it. And then the next month you send out all these other covers and people buy them all. And then the next month you buy it, and then so there's for 4 months these come out and then they buy them all. And then all over the world, people are buying them. And then the book comes out, hardcover book, which is like these hardcover book, which is like this beautiful hardcover book.
The graphic novel. Yeah.
This is all 4 chapters in one book.
And I have one coming in the mail.
Yes.
I can't believe it. It's been a couple of weeks and it didn't arrive yet.
So
Amazon, but anyways.
Yeah. So I met with my publisher like last week. I went to London. I met with my publisher and they showed me the figures. The sales figures are really good.
Oh, really?
And they've got like just for they showed me just the figures for just the comics that just came out. I was kind of stunned. Unfortunately, Diamond distributors went bankrupt, and that's kind of an issue, like as far as getting paid from them. But and I have a partnership deal with them. So like it's pretty good. Like we have a partnership deal with Titan, and because I get 50%. Well, I shouldn't say that anyway. But I'm not going to go into detail.
I didn't ask, but I will take
like I'm surprised when I saw the figures. I'm like, people are buying comics for sure.
Right? Because I'm not from that world either, and I'm like, oh, comic books, huh? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they are. It's like a thing. People have to buy every single one, and then we have these. We have the nude ones that are nude. They come like this, and then it's like they have to have them. Anyway, but this is a private detective named Minky Woodcock. And this was the first one, and she's sort of this character, and she's my model is Pearls Daly. Let me show you Pearls.
Who I am.
Do you know Pearls?
Convinced. I don't know her personally, but I'm convinced I've seen her perform a bunch of times. I've probably filmed her.
I'm sure.
I used to film a lot of burlesque shows. You know, not just because I do. Hey, I work for whoever hires me, and sometimes people hire me to do burlesque shows. You know.
You perform?
No. Videography and photography.
Oh,
yeah. That's like when I'm not doing music, which doesn't make me any money, that's my company is like video and photography work.
I didn't know that. That's good to know.
Yeah. So yeah, I would love to work with you on something.
Yeah. This is Pearls. I took this photo of her in a submarine. Nice. Did you know there's a submarine on the Hudson River?
No, I did not know that.
We went there and we went there and we paid the admission to go in. It's at the Intrepid Museum.
Okay.
And she took off her clothes and was wearing her bathing suit, and I was photographing her for reference.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's amazing. She's my model for these, but it's basically a private investigator who investigates these Prohibition era sort of, well, actually more than that, like 20s, 30s, 40s crimes. And there's 3 of this is now the 3rd, the Cthulhu book, which you can
Pre-order, or you can pre-order the graphic novel, right?
Yes, everybody should. You can get these. It's actually now hard to find the comics.
Yeah.
Because the comics have they sell out. You know, like they come out. You can find them in some, like you can go. I know Midtown Comics has some in New York, but they sell out. But this is going to be the cover, and it's the girl called Cthulhu, and it's kind of about Operation Mincemeat, which was a World War II operation, which involved Ian Fleming, who wrote James Bond, and Aleister Crowley.
He's coming back into the mix. I heard you mention him with Sleep Chamber. I'm like, I know that name's going to come back
Satanist,
around.
And H.P. Lovecraft, who is who wrote the Cthulhu. So it's a really
hold on, let me get my little prop here. Oh no, my studio's falling apart.
Our thing, we have to turn it over. It already went through.
Oh yeah, that ended in like 15 minutes. That was like a 15-minute thing. That ended a long time ago. So yeah, hopefully, now we're getting to the end of your wine. Uh-oh.
I'll have to go get something else.
Somebody.
It's Cthulhu. Put it on. You should put it
on. These. Oh, I don't think it's a mask. It's just a little. I can put it up in front of my face though. Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of my friends' stores sold this.
I had to do a lot of research for this, like all of these. Like
that's very. I mean, I haven't read them, but I know it's very extensive in the history and like the conspiracy theories and all that stuff.
And dark and creepy, and they're creepy, and people read them and they're like, "This can't be true. This can't be true." I'm like, "No, you have to understand. This is all based on real fact. It's just I find the weirdest, most out there facts, but then they're true. Like, and then I let them decide whether or not."
So do you know all these things before you create the story, or do you create the story in your head and then research all the facts afterwards? What's the order of that process?
It depends. Like, I'll choose the story and then I will research it. But sometimes I know the story. Like this one was a play in New York.
Right.
Like sometimes this one might be, I'm actually becoming friends with the people at the Tesla Museum, the Wardenclyffe Museum in Long Island. So who knows? It might be a play too.
Nice.
But
I think I have a trailer here somewhere. Let's see.
The trailer for.
I don't know. I have some trailers for your work, so you can talk over them. I'll put them up.
Yeah. So like the Cthulhu story is my favorite one so far. Honestly, it's just really, really well researched. I mean, I find out things about this operation, and I wanted to do a story about Ian Fleming because I really love.
Whoa, it's a little loud. Sorry, I turn the volume down. You can talk over it.
Oh, okay. That's the trailer. Okay. So like I wanted to do a story about Ian Fleming, and Operation Mincemeat, which I discovered is this story about this really weird World War II maritime operation. And then the head of Titan Comics said, maybe add Aleister Crowley to it, and H.P. Lovecraft. So then I went and I looked, and they were all kind of related. So I kind of was able to relate them all together into this really weird story that it's all based on fact.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's awesome.
That's the thing. Like the only thing that's kind of made up is my character, who's the private detective, who's But all of these are real people. It's all based on fact. It's all about the premise of this book is that spy and detective novelists helped end World War II. And that is a fact. They did. So
why are you so fascinated with the 20s? How did that happen?
I am fascinated with the 20s because my grandfather was murdered.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about Speakeasy Dollhouse, which I don't know that much about, but I saw that, I know there's an interesting story there, and you can summarize it.
All right. Let me try. Okay.
Yeah.
Growing up, I knew that my grandfather was murdered. And the story was that he was a bootlegger during Prohibition, and he owned some clubs, and he was going to collect a debt, an ice debt. He was an ice man. and he showed up and was taking off his coat, and he was taking off his coat, and he was shot. And so that's what story my mother told. That's all she knew. She's like, I don't know why he was collecting a debt or whatever, what it was for. His wife was pregnant. So he was shot and killed, and his coffin was laid out in one room in the Bronx, and in the other room, my mom was born. So like the day they buried him, my mom was born because my grandmother went into shock because her husband was murdered. And I thought that was a really interesting, weird story. I'm like,
I mean, that's super fascinating, of course. Yeah.
And there's more to it. Like the fact that my grandmother maiden name was Sforza, which is the royal family in Italy. And like she always claimed that we were related to the Sforza family. So there's like a lot of weird intrigue and interesting stories to do it. So my whole life I wanted to research it when I moved to New York. So when I moved to New York in 2000, when I left Adam and I moved to New York in 2001, I started going to the library and researching it. And I found an article. I was looking through the microfilm, and I found an article that said that it was the story about how my grandfather was murdered. And it wasn't in an apartment, it was on the street, and he was shot. And it was a crazy story about the children and fighting, and it was intense. I like screamed when I found this story because it was so weird. And then so then I decided I wanted to research it further. And at the time, everybody was doing Kickstarters. Mm-hmm. And I had just illustrated a graphic novel with Amanda Palmer and Jason Webley called Evelyn. They wrote it, but I illustrated. It was about two conjoined twins who were circus. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Have you seen it?
I've seen pictures of it. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So I was like,
I'm an old Dresden Dolls fan too. So
yeah. So like
that's another world that we collide under.
We can talk more about that too, about Amanda and that. But so like I was doing that. So I was like kind of getting into graphic novels, and I kind of liked it because I was doing children's picture books. And like I can do books for adults. Like
yeah, that's what I like about your work, because
I'm like I can do children's books for adults, like picture books, like with just word, like not a novel, but pictures and books of pictures, like just pictures. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to do a book. Like I'm going to do a book about it. Like, so I did a little memoir that was kind of like an introduction, and I did a Kickstarter, and it did really well. I definitely sold all the, and I said, I'm going to do one night. That was the graphic novel I made. It was like a memoir. It's not even the story. It's only like a memoir about what I was going to do, really.
And this component of it, you made doll houses, and it was all like photos, right? Instead of like illustrations.
In the other room right in there, I have the Speakeasy doll house. It's an actual Speakeasy doll house, and I made the Speakeasy doll house, and
there's a whole story about that and like solving crimes through doll houses and stuff, right? I'm not as deep. I know more about Splashdown than this, but I've brushed the surface, and I can find it interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting because it's these. So I had used dollhouse sets from my children's books too, because I love dollhouse sets. They're cool. And
actually, I noticed there's even a doll on the back of your Women of
Seven. Oh my
God! So it goes all the way back to this all the time,
Yes, because I'm just like a little girl.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like that doll, my sister Kathy made, and I think it actually like pees.
Oh wow.
It like would like one. Yeah, we had this one fan who likes being peed. It's like we made the doll, so it like.
That's not that weird.
Anyway, I know it's not, but
well, us being in subculture communities, that's not too weird to us.
Nothing's weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like my sister made those, and we sold those.
Oh, cool.
It was in CMJ. Do you remember CMJ?
Yeah.
I remember they like had the doll, and Douglas Wolk did
like the festival or the magazine.
It was the magazine.
Yeah.
We were playing CMJ. And they have the doll in the CMJ magazine, and Douglas Wolk, who's actually now a comic book reviewer.
Oh, hey.
He's really into comic books.
Oh, yeah, there's some pictures in here I can't show on YouTube.
He put it up, and he said he was afraid of the doll when it came in. Like, we sent them a copy.
I want one of those dolls. I wonder if I can get a secondhand doll.
Unfortunately, I had one, but Amanda Palmer accidentally broke it.
She broke it. God damn it, Amanda. All right.
I have it still. I have to glue it back together, but she didn't mean to. We were just like,
I'm sure. Yeah.
we were at a party or something, and she just like, and it like, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So then that became like a whole immersive theater. Like that's a whole nother thing about your career is your immersive theater experiences.
Oh my god, that was like 15 years of my life. So then it was supposed to be one night. This one fucking night.
I feel like I remember hearing about it at the time. I never went, but I think I
It was
remember
supposed to be
hearing
one
about it.
night, and it went for 5 years.
Wow.
5 years. We found this amazing club, and the first show was terrible, but
Where
it
was
got
the club?
really good.
Or what was the club?
It was the Back Room, and it still exists. It's down on Norfolk Street in the East Village. Not the
I don't
East
think
Village.
I've been there.
In downtown.
Right. Yeah.
And on Norfolk Street. And it's like you go through this little alley. So it had an alley, and it had upstairs, and it had a bed. They let us completely transform it, like, because we did it before they opened their bar for the night. We did it, I think it was like 5 to 7 every night, every Saturday we did it. And
it was it like the same show every time, or did you change
not really.
it?
I mean, it was the same premise.
And so what was the premise exactly? Like, okay, so that was somehow this all stems back to like you researching your grandfather's death and everything, right? So how does that translate into a show that kind of evolves with time?
Basically it's his story of how he opened these clubs, and he had these clubs, and then Dutch Schultz, who had a club nearby, Dutch Schultz, the famous mobster, was mad because he wanted money from him, but he didn't want to pay him money. And they got in a fight, and then there was this barber. We had a barber shop there and a cannoli, because they had like the speakeasy that my grandfather had in the Bronx. The first floor was a bakery they'd sell cannolis, and then the police would come in and they would drink the bootleg booze, even the police. That's why they went. And then upstairs, you go up the stairs, and then you'd have the speakeasy. And but Dutch Schultz had one down the street, and my grandfather wasn't paying him. And so like we have Dutch Schultz, we have my grandfather, who's like this really like strong-willed guy, and then he's having an affair with this woman, and she's the wife of this barber, and then the barber is working for Dutch Schultz, and the barber, like in the alley, this shooting happens, and his son, my grandfather's son, his little teenage son is there, and it was very dramatic, like very, very dramatic. And we did this, like, basically I went through the history of my family for 5 years, and the actors would kind of add new things to it. Oh, and everybody who came through the door, we actually built a little speakeasy dollhouse door. So you come through an alley, you had to walk through a door that was only like this big.
Okay.
And so when you came through this door, you would be given, fortune tellers give you a roll. So when you come in, you get a roll. And then you go through it, and then you get cannolis, and everyone's singing, and they're playing the accordion, and in the alley. And then you go into the club, and you really felt like you were going into a different world. And for me, when I do immersive plays, they always have to have a portal. Like the portal for that one was the Speakeasy Dollhouse door.
Interesting.
But every single immersive show I do, I like to have a portal that brings you into that world. So you feel like I'm really going into this dollhouse. I am now a doll. I used to call my actors the dolls. They were my dolls, because I was playing with them. Like I wasn't in it really. I wasn't really in it. Like the teenage me was in it as a character, but I wasn't really in it as a ghost, because I was like certainly dead. I wasn't alive then. So like I was like this was a ghost story kind of. Anyway, it went for 5 years. It was like, and then we did it at some other places too. And I could bring it back now. I've been thinking about maybe like getting my own club and doing it, like, because it was really popular and we had so much fun. I mean,
yeah, I've never been to any of your theater experiences, so do it for me just so I can come.
You could be in it. You could be
okay.
Because we had actually also like we had a coroner's office, and we had corpses, and the coroner.
You want me to be a corpse, huh?
Autopsies. You would be a great corpse.
I'll just lie there naked, right?
Yeah, and they'll like,
sounds good.
They like do things to you.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it was like
We're back to Women of Sodom.
There was, yes.
Bring back that band.
But there was like burlesque in it, and there was
Yeah.
singing and dancing and cannolis and drinking out of teacups, and it was a beautiful show.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, that's, I mean,
That was my
Jesus,
first.
your theater experiences, yeah. And because the other one is the Illuminati Ball, and that's a comic book I did get in time, and I did read the Illuminati Ball. And what was so cool to me was I definitely know at least one of the people who you modeled some of
really?
the
Recognize
people
them?
out there. Yeah, Audrey Love.
Oh, you know Audrey?
Yeah. I mean, I know her. And I know this is another connection we have. I used to film a show that she was in at Gemini and Scorpio, the
Oh
first
yeah, I know.
location.
Of course, I know Larissa.
Yeah. So they used to do like an all nude burlesque show there. My friend Lydia Vengeance put it on. Cirque du So Weird. So if you ever went to any of those, I was there.
Oh, okay. I'm sure we've been in the same room. Yeah.
Yeah, we had to.
Until Larissa's loft.
Yeah. And then and you know, I've done some stuff at the new location as well. There's like a goth party there that I worked at for a little bit, and anyways, that's like a whole connection. And I was like, oh my god, like that's so cool. So there's connections, you know, in this work to like real people in the New York scene, and that's so cool.
That story was really interesting because my one of my dancers, Mia, she's like used to call herself Delicia Lachat, and she's been in every single show I've done. And I've done five now, 5 different immersive shows.
Right.
And she said, like, have you seen these pictures of the Rothschilds Illuminati Ball?
Right.
No. And she sent me them, and I'm like, this is cool. We should have
this. Yeah,
this.
they are so cool.
She's like, we should have this party. And then I'm like, well, I need to add animals to it.
Yeah, why? So
I need to tell the story about animals, because I was like, because the Baroness de Rothschild was wearing a mask with deer head, and she had tears, and I saw that mask. Yes, I saw that, and I thought, oh, this is about the sadness of animals, the sadness and how animals are treated poorly. So the show became this whole thing, like it's like the meal was vegan, but nobody knew, and it was all morality tests. People would come, and I would give them morality tests, and they didn't know they were being tested. Because they thought they were like basically trying to be in the Illuminati, but we really fucked with people's minds.
Yeah, I don't know if I can't tell how much I would enjoy being fucked with in an immersive experience.
Oh no, they loved it. Oh,
yeah?
They didn't know. They didn't know. They were like having the best time of their life.
What happens if they fail?
What?
What happens if they fail the test?
It doesn't matter. They didn't even notice. They were so drunk. But it was more for me, like, how are people, like, I was my socials experiment, like,
because this one's interesting. You actually have to apply to come to this. Are you still doing Illuminati balls?
No,
or is this
I'm
still
not doing it right now.
You did it for a long time, like a couple times a year,
for a
right?
long time, and we did it here. We did it here, in my house for, I'd say it was about 40 people.
Yeah.
And we would blindfold them and we'd pick them up in New York, put them in a limousine bus, and bring them here. And I live on a lake, so like we would have naked swimming.
And so like you're actually in this room right now, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm one of those people in there. Yeah.
Yeah, that was another question. Like, was it weird, like drawing yourself into a, you know?
No.
You are a character in your own story.
Basically, that book is basically kind of what they experience.
Yeah.
Like that is basically the experience of the Illum. I wanted to put it down, so like, because we weren't going to do it forever. So basically, by drawing it, I drew what people experience, like the mermaid swimming in the lake, and people's conversations, and like the sauna room and the bathtub, and like people. We have a pretty big house, and we have different rooms, and and there would be groups. There would be grouped by animal. They would be grouped by mouse or cow or monkey.
Oh, there it is.
Or chicken. And then there was Pig King was the leader, and his wife, the Baroness. He was the Baron de Rothschild, and she was the Baroness de Rothschild. And yes, in the middle of the meal, when people come in, they come in through this door, and they sit down at this long, beautiful banquet table. And then they don't realize it, but there's aerialists hiding in the ceiling. And then when the music starts playing and the opera singer starts singing, the aerialists drop out of the ceiling and start basically performing over the table. And there are some videos out there. If you want to look on my YouTube channel, you can see videos of it. But it was really beautiful. But people said it really meant a lot to them, and we really bonded.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I did do that for about 5 years too.
Right. Yeah, that's like, wow.
We did it for 1,000 people in Brooklyn.
I think that's what this is. Hold on, I have a video.
And I like it better when it's the intimate version, like the book.
Mm. I think this is a trailer for that.
But there's a whole storyline behind it.
Yeah.
It's pretty weird.
Oh, this is for the comic book. But anyways, I'll let this play while we're talking about it.
Yeah, I think that has both. That's
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So
people actually applied, like you actually have to go through and approve people and everything.
Yes,
is that fun, or is that like, oh no, bureaucracy?
It was fun. I mean, I got thousands of. I still get applications. I shut it down. I don't know how they're even finding the application.
Well, the website's still up, right?
Yeah, but the applications are shut off.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I think I finally shut it off, but I mean, thousands and thousands of applications, and I mostly just. People mostly didn't get in. I mean, I did read them and I chose them very carefully. People were chosen carefully, but we had like the royal family from the Middle East come. The whole royal family come and do it. We've had like celebrities come, like celebrity chefs come, and it was nuts. Oh, and Prodigy from Mobb Deep was part of it. He was a character in it before he died.
Right. Yeah. Didn't he have something to do with some music for it, or
he wrote the song for it,
which I just muted so we could talk over it. But
yeah, he wrote. I mean, it's like the last song he recorded. I think.
Wow.
Maybe okay. People. I mean, all over the internet. If you go to YouTube, they're all like, "The Illuminati killed him," and it's like there's videos of me like she's Satan and she killed Prodigy and the Illuminati, and it's like. This was a show.
Yeah. Is that the craziest rumor you've ever heard about yourself?
No.
What's the craziest rumor?
Was like that I was in an audience at one of our band's shows and I heard someone behind me say,
Countess?
Adam was up on stage and they said, that's Adam Buhler. He's married to or that's Adam Buhler and his sister is Cynthia Von Buhler.
It's like, nah.
I'm like, we're married. They thought we were a sister and brother, which was weird. But
yikes.
I don't know. There's been so many different weird. But anyway, that was fun. And it was fun having Prodigy in it. He actually came and performed and was part of the show.
That's awesome.
Pretty big rapper. Like
deal
as far as rap goes. And he was a very sweet guy too. I'm sad that he died. And I didn't kill him.
Yeah, well, if anything comes out of this show, it's that Cynthia's
I loved him. We were friends, and he was part of my show because he liked what I was doing.
Innocent in murder, not in thought. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a roller coaster.
So that was a great show. And then we also did the Ziegfeld Midnight Frolic I found a secret Broadway theater on Times Square, and we did that one.
Secret? Wait, how do you? What do you mean a secret Broadway theater?
Okay, so I found
real estate in that.
Yeah,
that's
there is a
valuable space right there.
Theater, Liberty Theater, does not have a front door, and it is hidden behind. It's right next to the New Amsterdam Theater. It's right in Broadway, and you had to go through a diner to get to this theater. So we had people come into the diner and then they would go up and go through a curtain and then they'd be in the theater. So the portal was the diner.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
It was really weird. And then it was this beautiful theater and I had it for a whole year and I made a chandelier and the girls would come down from the chandelier and it was the most stunning show I ever did. I mean, it was drop dead gorgeous. And then upstairs was Paris. 1920s Paris, and it was about Olive Thomas and like, did she get murdered? She's like a famous, like she was the first flapper.
Okay.
And it's like, did she get murdered? Did she die of suicide, or was she murder, suicide, or accident? So we showed it different ways. So like But it was so cool. Like you'd hear like the boat going, and everyone had their passports, and we made passports, and you had to get your passport stamped to go upstairs to Paris. And then we had this club, and you had to walk through this like the clubs of Paris in the 1920s were amazing. Like they were all about death. Like
Right.
they had coffins for tables, and you had to walk through this big death head to get into it. And there were like people in cloaks coming, and they had like this ghost kind of Pepper's ghost trick that we did, where you would see someone would walk. We'd choose an audience and put them in, and then they turn into a ghost.
They do that in Disney, right?
It was way better than that. Like we did the real ghost trick. It was so good. And and then we had this other room you would go up to. You'd be in Paris, and you'd be at the Ritz Hotel, and there was a glass room. It was a great show. I mean, I can't believe I did it, and it was grueling and hard and expensive and beautiful. So and that theater has not had anything since then. And this was, I don't know, 2000. What was it, 15?
I mean, that's crazy. Like you got to, how is somebody rent for that space, you know? Like
I want so much money. I've asked them several times, can I please take over this space? I mean,
if nobody else is using it, Jesus, right?
I was renting it from the guy who owned the diner.
And
is
there like a history to this theater? Like, was there like any famous shows?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was a famous Broadway theater, and it's right next to the New Amsterdam where Olive Thomas actually performed. This old Ziegfeld Follies happened next door. But yeah, it's still there. It's sitting empty.
Is that the next Minky Woodcock mystery, perhaps?
At there? I don't know.
Like, no, I mean like the storyline, you know.
Oh yeah. That I have that one written.
Oh really?
Yeah, my publisher really likes famous characters.
So there's more to come, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah, there's plenty more. I think that they would love for me to keep doing these forever.
Do you want to keep doing it forever?
I don't know.
Or as of now, is it? Do you see?
I can keep doing them. I don't mind doing them, but I'm okay. So I'm working on a really, really big project right now. That is,
anything you can reveal?
Yeah, I can reveal that it's a story I wrote many years ago. That it's and I love it, and it's one of my favorite stories I've ever wrote, and it's being made into an animated feature film.
Wow.
It was optioned, and I'm a story consultant on it, and we've been working on it, and it's going to be 1 or 2 graphic novels and this story that's coming out as a feature film. And so that I've been working pretty hard on that, like coming up with ideas with it, because we had to change it a little from my story. So that is something I'm working on. That's also a graphic novel. So that's 2 graphic novels I need to do. So I need to do those before I do the other Minky book.
Wow. So you got some work cut out for you.
I love it so much.
Yeah, you're busy, huh?
I am busy, but it's like
it's like your art. That's amazing. Like that's the goal of an artist, is to like
they're
art and sell it, right?
They're paying me to be a story consultant. They're paying me to be executive producer, and but you hope that this works out and that it keeps going. It's still in development, but now it might be going into production. I don't know. Like it seems like it, but we'll see.
Is there any dream projects that you still have in mind for the future? Like what's your, is there anything that you haven't done yet that you want to do?
I think that this animation is my dream project.
Really?
It is.
It the style of your art, or is it kind of interpreted?
I don't know. Right now it is, but I don't know what will happen.
Right.
But I guess my dream project is that it is more aligned with that. My heart is really in this one, and I really love it. But it's kind of like the music industry, where they sign you and then they want to bring other people in, and then it changes.
Right.
So it could be making it better. They could make it worse. They could, whatever, and or a totally different story. But I'm really excited about it. But I still get to do the book in my own way. So for me, those 2 books are really much my dream project, because they're related to an animated film, and I'm involved in that. But I'm also making these books. So that for me is a really sort of a legacy project for me, and I'm really excited about it. So I also have other projects involved that I'm working on. I went to Africa and I spent some time with the Akashinga women, and they protect wildlife from poachers. And I went with them out in the bush with their guns and everything. And I have an idea about doing a story about them. That's also a really cool project. I still want to finish the Speakeasy Dollhouse project because I haven't finished it.
What do you mean?
I haven't written the actual story.
Oh.
Like what happened. Like I wrote a memoir about going to look into it, but I didn't write. I wrote it, but I'm still working on it. So like I've got a lot of projects.
And is that what form is that going to come out as a comic book or?
I think it would be a graphic novel and a film. And I want the Minky Woodcock books to be made into a TV show.
That would be cool. Yeah, absolutely.
I've been getting more into film and TV. And I think it's an avenue when you're talking about what do I want to do, it is an avenue that I haven't explored. And I'm getting into it now. I have an agent, and so like I kind of love the idea of this being a new transmedia thing. Like, let's make the books into movies now.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, it sounds like a good idea, you know.
Because not many people read comic books, but they certainly watch movies and TV. So like, let's get it to more people. So that to me, and of course my animals are always a big part of my life.
Yeah, we didn't even mention that, but you like rescue animals and do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I have pigs and chickens and dogs and cats, and I've been rescuing animals for years. So
and, yeah, pigeons, right?
I have 100 pigeons.
That's crazy.
Yeah, from New York. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my God, it's almost empty.
Done?
No, I don't know. Like I feel like we can do some wraparound questions now. I feel like we kind of went through. I mean, did we miss anything? I'm sure we missed a whole bunch of stuff, but that was kind of the arcs.
I mean, we didn't talk about my illustration work, but whatever.
What's like besides the comic book?
What?
You know, I mean, besides the comic books.
Yeah, I illustrated for like all the top magazines, like Rolling Stone. I did a lot of paintings for Rolling Stone. I did them for all the top magazines and newspapers for years. So that was like a big part of my life, was doing illustration. And when I was doing that, I did thousands of these sort of 3-dimensional paintings where I would put also book covers. And I would do things like I'd put my birds in them in like these cages, or I'd have like I did Joan of Arc for a book cover and the birds flying out, but I would photograph it. So it was like a painting with chainmail, real chainmail around it, and a real bird flying. So I did these kind of paintings for a long time. And now I've actually been studying how to paint like a Renaissance painter in oils, in the old school Italian style. And I'm getting really good at it. And I plan on doing a series of paintings like that. So that's another thing I'm doing.
Is it based on real people or
yeah, I'm going to be painting women that I know and animals, and
together or separately?
Together. Like women and their like spirit animal kind of.
Gotcha.
Maybe as astronauts, like if you were going to take, like if you were in outer space and you had to take, like what animals would you take?
Interesting.
I know.
So is there a science fiction aspect to this, or
no? It's just like it's like taking this really beautiful, this technique of doing the Renaissance style painting. Now, I didn't learn this in school because when I was in art school, they rejected the old traditional style of teaching, the Renaissance style, and they were teaching more the Impressionist and the Fauvist and this much more like expressionist painting. So like I was always interested in learning how to do the actual Renaissance style. So I've always wanted to do paintings like that. Like my illustrations were kind of like that, but they weren't oils.
Right.
Because oils take a long time to dry and it's a really long process. And so the last, I'd say 5 years, I've been studying it and I'm getting pretty good at it. And
I believe it. I mean,
I don't want to do it.
Art is like your thing, you know?
It has to be like as good as a master for me to want to do it. So like I'm getting good at it. And I And I want to take that and do portraits, but I want to add surrealism to them. Like take that, but make them like the thing about those paintings, I love them, but they're a little bit boring at times. There's like not a lot going on. I want to have something in it that shows you more about the person.
Yeah, that makes
or
sense.
about life in general. So
Wow.
yeah.
So
I have a lot of projects.
Yeah, like I know your story is continuing, but I feel like your life could be a documentary. Or do you feel like someone could make a stylized movie about your life one day? You know, like
I don't know. That would be cool, but I don't know. Like like as being me, I'm like, why? Like, no, it's too I feel like
listen to all the things we've been talking about tonight. I mean, everything you do is interesting.
A story because it's so disjointed.
Right. Yeah, I guess
I'm like totally ADHD. It's like it's all over the place. How do you make a story about that? It's
like, I don't know. I mean,
it's too crazy. It's too like I can tell people like I'll be like meet someone in a bar and I start saying like whatever, and they're like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "You're lying," or they think I'm a pathological liar. Like, I mean, oh, you know, I dated
it's all true.
Kiedis. Like
you said what?
I dated Anthony Kiedis for a little while. Yeah, I met him because I was in Woman of Sodom and he was at the Middle East and I gave him a flyer. I didn't even know who he was. And then he came over and then it's like I've got a weird life.
Yeah, I didn't know that part. That's cool. I guess. I don't know. Was that cool? It
was cool. He was a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway.
Wow. Okay, let's wrap around and let's go back to the beginning and I don't know. Let's see what I missed here. I have this whole slideshow and I've been skipping through it, so I think we skipped some things.
Can I go use the bathroom?
Yeah, definitely.
Show some slides and I'll see if I can find some maybe port or something. Maybe you should
go
for
your
drink.
All right, yeah. You know what? I'm gonna let me play a trailer or two and then we'll be back, you guys.
Okay.
Cool. Part 2. See. Let's see. What should I play here? We're gonna do this one. All right, here we go. I'm just gonna do this old promo for my Vonesper Studios, and then we will be back in about 2 or 3 minutes. Hey, good timing.
Yeah, I got support.
Sweet. Let's start it all over again. Cheers.
Support.
Nice. I got a little refill myself, so.
Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers. See, you were like a half hour. I'm like, a half hour? I don't know about that.
How long's it been now?
2 hours.
Wow, you're right.
Yeah, I told you it goes quick.
Mm.
Okay.
I flipped over the.
Yeah, so we got 15 minutes until we all disappear again. So you were talking about like maybe film is like the next avenue of, you know, part of your journey. But I want to talk about documentation of what you have done a little bit, because I'm an archivist, and as you know, as you saw in the beginning, I'm making a documentary, and like, you know, preserving history when nobody else is looking for that history is kind of important to me if it's interesting.
Oh, cool. I love you. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So my question is,
right? Like,
what's that?
More people need to do that. That's important.
I mean, I think so. You know, for me with the documentary I'm making about this band, Haunted Garage. Oh, and there's a complimentary question in there in a minute. It was like such a fascinating band to me, or project, that I was like, you know what? COVID had just started, you know, when I thought about this, and I was like, these people are all getting old. These old punk rockers are getting in their 60s and 70s, and if no one's asking for it, all this stuff is just gonna disappear, you know, in somebody's closet or garage and just like never be seen again. So I'm like, let me rescue it, you know, let me transfer your tapes. And I have a negative scanner now, so I can scan photo negatives and all kinds of stuff. So I don't have a DAT player, but I can do VHS and cassettes. And
you have VHS tapes of Woman of Sodom.
Well, like, that's kind of where I'm going with this.
Remember, what was that church?
Limelight?
Yes, we played at Limelight. I have a video from
Wow. See, that's my question. I've been wondering about that for 30 years. Like, what's the documentation on Women of Sodom? Or, you know, we'll start there, Women of Sodom.
Yeah. Sure. That would be funny. Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of videos, and somebody took the VHS and put them on to CD for me at some point. Some of them, but I don't know. It's somewhere.
Well, I would be happy to do that for you if you ever wanted me to, you know, or
sure, I'll send you them all.
Okay, great. Let's do it. Well, I mean, when you're in New York, I could just come pick them up. You know, I'm local.
Look, like, I'm cleaning out my attic and I have it all up there. I actually have like a big boxes of these CDs.
Really?
I have a lot of Splashdown, and I have basically, I'm the one who has all of the CDs from Cecil Von Buhler up in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I have all of the, like, you know.
Let's see what I'm missing here. I mean, I think I have all of. I got Siren Song, Stars and Garters, Red Shift, and what's this
Blue
one?
Shift? Blue Shift and Red Shift.
Blue Shift was the album.
Oh, right. Yeah.
This was I can't read it. It's in a weird font. Half World, right?
Yeah.
This is my copy of Blue Shift. This you know, just a CDR, but like actually Adam sent me like some remasters that he did of himself. It was like straight from the source. That's awesome. Yeah.
Those are good.
Yeah. Oh wait, and here's my other show and tell.
Oh right, I have that.
The Pandora. I don't know if you put this out or not, but yeah, it is.
Yeah, we put everything out.
That
was the thing that pissed me off. Okay.
What pisses you off?
Pissed me off that, like, okay, we made this record label and we did all this indie stuff so we could get signed to a major label.
Right.
And then they were like, oh, okay, great. Well, why don't you put the album out on your label? And I'm like, well,
Blue Shift?
Like, they actually wanted us to put out the main album on our label. And I was like, well, like, we've already put things out on our label. Like,
yeah.
The whole point of having a record, why are we have a major label if we're not going to?
Why would they put all this money into making it and then not want to put it out?
I don't know. I feel like.
Wait. We never really got to that crux. Like, why did it not come out?
Do all the work. Like, they they wanted us to do all the work, and honestly, us doing the work, the music was already there. Like the music was already good. Us doing the work would have been me doing the work because they wanted the PR, and the PR was me.
Well,
like
Capitol Records doesn't have their own PR department. Look at that building. I don't understand.
Well, like I
it
said,
doesn't make sense to me.
Like I said, when it was the guy from Beastie Boys, they were going to throw everything at it. They loved it. They were like, we love this band. It's so good. We're going to throw everything at it. And so I have a little bit of a trauma.
Yeah.
When in my new deal, one of the people I was working with, he got fired. And I got a little freaked out because it's like, okay,
This is the animation project.
Yeah, like so, like that can happen. Like if it wasn't a person, it was the main person in charge of it, so it's going. But like if the main person in charge, the top guy, gets fired or leaves, the whole thing's over.
But like even after they sunk all that time and money into it, is it just like a blip on the map for them, basically?
Yeah. It's over.
It was so good. Like I don't get it. It still doesn't make sense to me. Like
what bothered me, and this is what should have happened. Okay, I didn't even talk about this.
Yes, I don't think we ever got to the end of the full end of the story.
Craig Aronson was our A&R guy who found us because there was a review in Option magazine. I don't know if you remember Option magazine. He saw it.
Vaguely,
called me, whatever, because I was getting them into all the indie magazines. And then he's like, this sounds really cool. And then I sent him the album, and then he showed it to Glenn Ballard, and Glenn Ballard liked it. Glenn Ballard is the person who wrote Alanis Morissette songs. They basically, when that happened, he was gold. And they said he can have the whole top floor of Capitol Records and have his own record label. And it was called Java. And he signed Buzzround through Craig, who was at Capitol. Craig went to Beastie Boys. And when that happened, we lost the A&R guy, and we lost the head of Capitol Records. And then we were stuck with Glenn, who was fine, talented guy, but then this other guy. So that happening was really the thing that happened that kind of destroyed it. So like when the person who I've been working with in the film thing happened, he got fired. I was like, oh my God.
It's happening again. No.
Like I was fine because I'm an adult and I'm not, whatever, but it, that can happen in these worlds. Like, this thing you've been working on for just be like, okay, it's gone. I know so many people, like my book agent, she's like, it's not going to happen. Just don't even think about it. It's not going to happen. Never happens for anyone. Oh, you're not going to be made executive producer. It doesn't happen, but I did. Oh, you're not going to get story consulting. I did. So I think that if you just say, no, I want this and I'm going to try to get this and I'm not going to give up until I get it, you can usually get what you want, but it can also just go away like that.
So then with Splashdown, how did that final decision go down, or did it just stop happening, or
it's
how does that work?
Kind of fuzzy.
And what does the contract say?
They own it. So
forever, or was there a time on that?
I think we'd have to buy it back. In order to buy it back, you have to pay all the expenses for what it cost. And I don't even know what that would be.
Right.
Maybe at this point we could contact them and they'd be like, okay, you can have it back. But I doubt.
I mean, at this point, why don't they just throw it out on Spotify? It's free. It's just stuff that they own,
I don't know,
it's such a different world now. You can just kind of do that, right?
Yeah, maybe. It's interesting. I mean, it was
do they think they just don't know that it even exists in their catalog at this point?
They were willing to release it on our label.
That's so weird.
And I was irritated because I was like, fuck you. We did all this and you want to release it on our label. And then so we thought, okay, this is really good. We can bring it to another label. Can we bring it to the Beastie Boys label? They didn't want it. It wasn't the kind of style what they were doing. And then Network Records was interested.
Network.
In Canada. They were like Sarah McLachlan, because we did the whole Lilith Fair.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
And I'm actually still talk to that guy sometimes, but they were interested, but then they just decided not to. I think that they would have had to buy it out. Who wants to pay the money?
Yeah.
They would have had to pay
like
capital.
It got so far though. I mean, like how I found out about it, my roommate had the actual promo CD. Like they got to the stage where it was on the radio stations. Like, why do you not follow through with that? I still don't understand.
W in LA, people loved it. I mean, I just feel like it really.
And were the shows successpromoted? Were they like doing good live or?
I don't know. Were the shows successful?
Yeah.
When I promoted them.
When you promote, yeah.
I mean, they were more of a studio band.
Yeah, that's not kind of what I figured.
They were good. I mean, it was good.
I've seen like the one video or whatever that's on YouTube. Is there any splashdown VHS tapes that you got in an archive somewhere? Because Melissa doesn't know any.
I don't know if you'd want to see. Like, I have some.
I want to see it.
Yeah, they honestly didn't do a lot of shows. I mean, I wonder if we could. There's probably some Lilith Fair footage. Those were good. I mean, Melissa's beautiful. I mean, they were beautiful. Like, they were great. Like it.
Here, I have a question about them.
Oh my God. I remember when they did this whole photo shoot. They're like, oh, we're going to do this whole stupid photo shoot.
I think I have a picture of that somewhere.
We're going to do their hair and makeup. And I flew out to LA for it. And it was just such.
Yeah. Like what I asked this to Melissa too. Like, did they have an image in mind? Like if you were going to make music videos, was there like a style, you know?
It wasn't a music video. It was like, oh, we're going to do pictures of them. And
right, and Melissa said like
makeup, and they did their makeup and they did styling and they had clothing, but it was just like it was such major label bullshit. Like
yeah,
it wasn't them. And
so they kind of like dressed them up or like
they totally. I was there.
Yeah,
that was Glenn Ballard's white studio with his white piano. They like had clothing and they did their hair and their makeup and they were like.
Like, did the band themselves, did the members have like a sense of what they wanted to project as a image, or not really?
I think Casson did.
Right. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Yeah. With all the silver and everything.
Adam was Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Melissa was Melissa. Casson was more into fashion than they were.
Right.
You know. So like, but I don't know. Like, I wasn't always there to control it. Like when they met Warlot for the first time, I wasn't there. So I wasn't able to, like, had I been there to meet Warlot the first time, it may have been different because I'm more social. Mm-hmm. So, but I don't even want to say what he told me, but.
What did he, okay, you don't have to, but I'll ask if you want to share.
But they're boring.
Like looking, like the image.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of agree with that. It wasn't like it wasn't, you know.
Like no, just their personalities. They were they didn't drink. None of them drank. They were like straight edge. Like and like you know. So I feel like a lot of time I'd be out there like doing that for them.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
Sorry,
right. Because you were like we're saying this whole time, the image is like your whole thing. You know.
Oh God, I don't know. Like but it's not that's not what they were there for. Like it wasn't like they were there to make good music, and they did their job, and they were really good at it. And the fact that they were just trying to, it was bullshit. Like, that's not the important thing. Like, I don't know.
What Melissa had kind of told me about the photo shoots was like.
What'd she say?
Oh, shit. I'm sorry. I didn't put my microphone back on. You could still hear me?
I could hear you, yeah.
Put my microphone back on. Now I probably sound way better. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you better. But
sorry about that. I did my whole last show. I had my microphone.
Because you're drunk.
Yeah, exactly. See, this is the second half of the show. This is what's going to happen. It's going to get a little sloppy.
Okay.
Well, she said, basically, it was like, we got these photos and you spent how much on it? You know, like, is this really what we're wasting money on? Is fucking like, I'm sure you could have gotten
money that you have to pay back.
Exactly. It's like, why are we spending money on like this image? Like this is
nothing. There's nothing photos of them.
Exactly.
I did take better photos of them. That's Glenn.
Yeah. That's not one of the studio pictures. There you go. They do look kind of goofy.
I mean, they were cute.
Yeah. They could have used you in the room, I think.
Some of the pictures came out great. I mean, they were like, some of them were good, but it was just kind of a waste of money, and it was a waste of time. And
Right, and that's kind of like a you know, a representation of the whole thing is like the major label bullshit and like wasting money and on stupid shit, and then it's like, well, that's your advance, and now it's like you're in debt forever, I'm sure.
Well,
right?
I remember we had no money. Like basically, Adam and I had no money. I was,
and here's the cover of the record that never came out, right?
Yeah, that was done by Clifford. And we ran out of money, and like I was doing illustration and trying to hold down the fort in Boston. We had to remortgage our house a couple times. I think we were remortgaged because our house was going up in value, thank God. And we were able to remortgage our house to live on because he wasn't getting a salary, really. They were living it. They put them in Oakwoods Studios. This is like old school stuff. I don't know if they still do this shit, but they put them in Oakwood Studio, and they were living in these like Oakwood Studios and going into the studio every day and just recording every day. And I don't know.
Well, it's I mean, you can find the album, you guys, but like it would be really nice. Yeah, it would be really nice to like actually have an official version of it, you know, in your hands. Like, come on, guys, what does it cost now? Just throw it out on vinyl for records.
I know, but what's going to happen? Like, if it comes out, like, I mean, if they're not going to tour it, it's.
I know.
I don't know.
As a limited release or something.
There was in some movies. They did have some songs. Charm.
Yes, the Charm thing.
She wrote a song, and she said it was about me. I don't know if it really was.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. Like she said, there's something about 7 League boots.
What's that?
7 League boots are like the boots, like you can do anything when you're wearing your 7 League boots, and that's in that song or something. But I don't know. That's one point.
So she said they wrote that song for the intro to that show, Charmed. Even though they didn't use it, they used some like the Morrissey song, right?
But they did use it in the show.
Right.
Honestly,
but that's not as cool.
Talking about music, since we're talking about music,
yes.
That's where you make your money. You make your money from the who was our Warner Chappell was our deal for that. That's where we made the money. That's where I made money. Like I got paid. The weird thing is they pay the manager more than they pay the bands. Like because of something like I remember it was weird. I'm like, I actually said no, I don't want that much. Like I don't want to get more than the bands. Because like we got like I'm like I want to get as much as the members. I don't want to get more. And I remember I got like paid. Like it was weird. Like, but I mean I was working pretty hard, but still.
Sure, but I mean that's again like the whole record industry thing is like the bands are the bottom of the fucking totem pole, but like they are the thing that
like the manager's getting paid like more, like they wanted to pay me more than the band.
Yeah.
And like I was like, hey, this is like I said no, actually. I said I will not get paid more than the band. I will be paid like less than the band.
That's crazy. All right, let's go back to my slideshow. Let's see what I missed here. Is there any copies of this in your attic?
There might be.
Because I can't find this anywhere. No, I don't have this.
Beautiful.
One.
That one's red.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'd love that for my collection.
That's
I can't find it.
That's she's Russian. She's my she's a lovely person. Yeah.
Nice. And yeah, so
I think I have one upstairs. Yeah, probably.
Did you like play in like the kink parties and stuff, or like how did the scene relate to the band, and like, you know, tell me a little bit about that, because I'm part of that scene in New York. You know, I don't know, maybe we've crossed paths. That's one of those parties.
I played at Click and Drag. Do you remember Click and Drag, or is that before your time?
I remember. I've heard of the name, but I've never been. What's that?
Robot. It was okay. It was in Meatpacking on the corner of.
This is probably a little all before my time. But
so like yeah. Okay, so
I probably heard about some of it.
In the 90s, we would go to New York and play at some of those clubs. It was like, you know, really cool. Like Chi, what's her name? Chi was running them. She knew Madonna or something like. And like it was like these clubs that she ran, and they were at really great parties. Like they had video cameras in the bathrooms. So you go in the bathroom, in the actual stall, you were video cameraed, and people could watch you out in the room.
Oh wow. Okay.
It was like, so we're coming from Boston. We're like, this is crazy. And at the time, the streets smelled like meat because there was the meat packing. That later on, that's where my loft was. When I moved to New York, I moved to right next door to where Chi-Chi's Club was.
Oh wow, we got some insight. Yes.
That's actually another thing. Okay, so I also had a gallery. I had a loft in Manhattan for a while, and I also ran galleries there. I ran a gallery out of it, and I did parties and galleries and TV shows. Like, when I moved to New York, like I was trying to make a living, and I had this gallery. I ended up renting from some German guy. He got kicked out, and it was like this 4,500 square foot loft. And he got kicked out, and because of my name, my fake name, the landlord thought I was rich, and he gave me the lease without checking my bank account, which was empty. And so like I had this like 4,500, and it was like $10,000 a month. At the time, that was a shit ton of money. Like think about 2001 paying $10,000 a month. And meatpacking was just coming up, that neighborhood. And I was running it like a business, like having parties with like people, like, and I did photo, like they started calling me to do, my apartment was Sex and the City, with Samantha's apartment.
Really?
Yep. I was in a bunch of movies, and my apartment was in a bunch of movies. They shot Law and Order there. So I met Ice-T, and he said he was like, he was afraid of me because of my art. He's like, this girl's art is really crazy. And they used my art.
Afraid of you. That's funny.
I know. They used my art as the art of the serial killer. So like basically
it's like, dude, your body count. Like, are you kidding me?
Because I had these really crazy like 3-dimensional like life-size sculptures that were pretty crazy. And so they came through with flashlights looking at it. And
funny.
So there's an episode of Law and Order Single Victims Unit or whatever that's me in my art. But anyway, I was doing that to make money in order to pay the rent. And so I was doing that for a while. That was another thing I did. I did location scouting for a while, like where people would, and then I found friends who had places and they were renting it out like for shoots. So that was another thing I did because I love real estate.
Well, that makes sense because you always seems like you always find the coolest places.
Oh, I got to tell you something about the gallery. So we had, so I met so I rented out a studio in my loft to this woman, and she knew some of the people who were the Andy Warhol people. And old school Andy Warhol people. So we're like, let's do a show since we know that Andy Warhol people.
Right?
So we did a show called Andy Warhol in His Wake. And it was like all of the Warhol people came out of the woodwork and they were in the show and they showed up, like the ones that were still alive. And they were all there. And it was like got on Japanese TV and German TV. You can find this on my YouTube channel, I think. And I was interviewed on Japanese TV talking about it, but it was like, we did a show and it got a lot of publicity because it was about, and I made a Andy Warhol machine. I was doing a lot of machine artwork, like robotic stuff. And I made this carnival machine and it was Andy Warhol. And he was like, it was like 15 minutes of fame. And he was doing fortunes, like your 15 minutes of fame fortunes and stuff. Oh, wow. But it was his head. And then, you know, like those old machines that give your fortune.
Like Zoltar and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like if you look like on my YouTube channel, you can see like the video of my loft and some of this art that was pretty strange.
That's cool.
Thing I did.
Yeah. Speaking of our names, we have a comment. Is this a podcast where you interview people with Von in their name? Yes.
Somebody said, wait, did someone just ask that?
A little bit ago. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I guess so.
Yes, we figured that out. Yes, so if you have Von in your name, I got you.
Why is yours Von? Tell me about your last name. Where does it come from?
Yeah, I started using this name when I was in middle school.
Wow.
Yeah, I think. And here, I don't know if it's that interesting of a story, but I had a friend who was into like, you know, characters. He was really big into Buffy the Vampire Slayer and stuff like that. And through that, like mythological characters and like vampires and all this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So he made this list of like, you know, characters basically, and like gods and goddesses and whatever, all this stuff, and who knows where he compiled it from. And one of the things, and I was looking for a band name. At the time we were Freak Show, and we were like middle school punk rockers making demo tapes on our 8-track recorder and stuff, and I still love those songs. The recordings are not very good, but the songs are still good. And I saw Von Esper, which I don't know, people always ask me if that's the correct pronunciation, and I say like, well, it's kind of a made-up name, so that's how I say it, but I don't really know. And many, many years later, I think I found out it came from the comic book Blade, which became the movie and everything.
Yeah.
And it was like a vampire clan from Blade or something like that. Yeah.
You kind of kept it as one word rather than separating the Von out.
Well, that's how I read it. And I just I think the description for that character or whatever was like the most ruthless vampire. And I was just like, oh, that just sounds cool. Like that should be a band name or something,
Yeah.
And so I started using it for just when I was recording demos by myself, without anyone else. And years later, it became a real band. And then it became the name of my company. And then I just was like, when Facebook and stuff came along, I was just like, well, let me just be the branding, so let me just say Kevin Vonesper.
I like it.
And that's, it's endured for like.
No, and I kind of responded to you. I'm like, well, I have to talk to someone who's named Von. Like,
yeah, see,
like, related.
Right. So yeah, that'd be interesting if I separated it, and that could be a whole nother persona. I don't know.
I decided like just using Von was so kind of.
It sounds fancy, right?
It sounds fancy, but it was also slightly pretentious. So I thought making the V lowercase and not using the umlaut on the U.
Oh, see, I think I messed up the flyer. I think I made it capital on the flyer.
Quieter, you know what I mean? It's not quite like Von Buhler.
Well, that in combination with the Castle Von Buhler thing, it was just like it sounded like you came from you lived in a castle, and
but like my family has that royal history.
Right. So there's a bit of truth there.
The Sforza family, they were like huge in Italy, and I'm supposedly related to them through an illegitimate line.
See, I don't know anything about that. If you want to elaborate on.
I don't need to.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
Let's keep it mysterious.
Yes. You got to keep a little bit of mystery.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
my middle name. Cynthia Sforza Von Buhler.
Okay.
I just said that. I just made that up. But
well, it's canon now. It's part of the film about you.
Yeah, could be. Right, could be. Why not?
Sure. Let's see what I got. Oh, there's some more Women of Sodom.
That's a good one. I love that course. It was really cool.
Who took these pictures?
That was Michael Harkavy. He took a lot of pictures.
Yeah, I see his name a lot on these photos.
We had so many people take pictures. We actually even had Glenn Wers. I love Glenn. He was part of the band, and he lived in my house. He lived in the second floor of my house, and he was the that's Nancy, my friend Nancy from college.
I don't know if this is part of that scene. It looked like it was related.
It's not. That was the party that I went to.
It's just the aesthetic.
Yeah, that was a party, but what was I saying?
That's a good question.
I forgot.
What were we talking about? Women of Sodom and your photographers.
Oh, the photographer. Yeah. So like he just actually I have a funny story about that, but about photography.
Okay.
And Nancy, the woman who was just in that picture.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a funny story. Okay. Okay, see Nancy? Okay, this is a funny story. So like the school I went to, I was teaching, and some of my students became part of my show.
Mm-hmm.
After I guess I quit teaching, but I was like still working there. And Bina Altura was one of the Women of Sodom. And there were pictures from the album that you saw. The album, the pictures that are in the album with my butt.
I can't show all of them on YouTube.
With my butt on the cover.
Oh, is that your butt right there?
Yeah, it's mine. And the pictures from that we shot at our house, the Castle Von Buhler. And Nancy was like, I think she shot them or her friend shot them. So she was working at AIB, and she used their like FedEx account or something to send the pictures. So the pictures ended up at AIB, and they ended up, someone opened them and they ended up in the president's hands. This was my boss.
Oh.
and I was like, holy crap! Like, oh my god! Like, they said, and then they called me and they said, Cynthia, we think you're being like blackmailed.
Huh.
They were on my side. They were like, I think we're being blackmailed and we're really worried about it. And like, we know you do this band, whatever. And you're not even, your students you're not even teaching that class anymore, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They were kind of on my side. So it was cool. But it was kind of embarrassing that everybody at my school saw these pictures. And they were like,
well, then they were instant fans, right?
Being blackmailed is horrifying. I love my school so much, and in the end, like years later, they were doing this like retrospective of each decade, the student of the decade, and they chose me as the 90s. Like, I am the student of the 90s. Like, out of all the students at that school in the 90s, like, I was the student that like, wow. Isn't that crazy?
That's great. That's a good honor, right?
It was I was very honored, and it was very sweet of them. But like they remembered me because of those pictures.
They do make an impression.
How can you forget that?
I will never forget this ass. I'm sorry. That's a compliment. It's part of my upbringing now. And then here's what I miss. We touched on it, but we didn't elaborate. When you guys played with Gwar,
yes,
I saw this comment on a YouTube video. Women of Saddam opened for ChemLab and Gwar at Avalon in Boston. They blew me away. One of the best opening acts I've ever seen.
Oh,
so tell me about playing with Gwar and ChemLab. I've seen them a couple of times too.
We played with a lot of those bands. We played with even when we did the Ecstasy Ball at Roseland Ballroom, we played with some pretty big bands.
Who played there that night?
Ecstasy Ball. Some pretty big bands. My Life with the Thrill Coco.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you guys definitely fit into that vibe of the Thrill Coco and like Lords of Acid.
People like, I mean, you have to know that era of music, but they were
big. I've seen Thrill Called a couple times.
They were great, and but we opened for them. But yeah, for Gwar, we opened for them a few times, and we weren't heavy metal. Like we looked like we might be, but we were like kind of cute, dancey, industrial music.
But you were, I mean, I see the connection because it's like theatrical.
Yeah. Oh,
image, and like Gwar has their S&M little, pockets of that too. Like
we totally fit in. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people really, really liked us, but I think musically, some people were just like, "What the hell is this?" This is like we weren't like Gwar is pretty heavy, right? Like it wasn't like when I did Countess and I did those heavy songs,
right.
Like Women of Sodom was industrial dance.
Well,
music.
Gwar
was dance music.
Gwar is like a punk band pretending to be a metal band.
Right.
That's kind of their shtick.
I think that when a lot of times booking agents, oh my God, they booked us at Brownies with in New York with Fetus.
Yeah, Thirlwell, right?
Creeping Fetus off the wheel. Yeah, Jim Thirlwell. Yes. Yeah. Like they booked us with like bands like that. And we're like,
that makes sense.
Well, sort of.
I mean, it all kind of, you don't really fit in anywhere.
We don't fit in anywhere.
You can kind of fit in anywhere. And I kind of all my favorite bands are like that. It's like when Gwar was coming up, it's like, where do you put them? Like anywhere you want, or
we also played a lot with what was that band? We played with the Bentmen a lot. Do you know that?
I don't know. That's
out of Boston. They were very, very theatrical. We played with the Bentmen a lot.
What was their shtick?
They were you would probably like them.
Yeah, it sounds like something up my alley.
Bentmen were awesome.
What was their concept? Because like concept bands, it's kind of like my thing.
You got to look it up. It was just crazy. The Bentmen were crazy. It was very visual. It was very weird. It was very good music. What was the other band we played with? We always played with this other band. They were like proper men. They dressed up like proper gentlemen, like royalty.
What kind of music were they?
They were heavy metal. Upper crust.
I don't know that.
They were another big band from Boston. They were like they were on Conan O'Brien. They were like they played a lot of shows. They were really talented musicians, and we played with them a lot. But they were also heavy, like heavy like music, and we were industrial dance. I mean, if you've heard like Water Sports, it's like a jazzy, cute song. We were like, some of the songs were pretty like cute.
Yeah,
So they
sure.
were, right? Like dark, but
It's the image that's heavy, not so much
the
the
music was like not like that. So
That's why I want to see the shows, because I feel like the CD's cool, but like
you haven't seen any of the show footage?
There's none out there.
Oh my God,
Of Women of Sodom? Are you kidding?
Oh, I have to send it to you.
Exactly, I know.
Oh, you have to see it, and I have it. Yeah. Okay, I'll send it to you. And we had music videos too.
You had music videos? I think I've only seen stills from some of them, but like,
Yeah,
they're not like around. I can't find. I've never found any of that stuff, I don't think.
Oh, I have it. I'll send it to you. You can look at it.
Yeah, I don't know if you would even where you would even be able to post that these days. I guess Vimeo could take.
We should have a Sodom like OnlyFans page.
That would be awesome. Yeah, well, and I'm sure there's other content related to that you could put there as well from your past, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's an idea. Sure.
I have to be careful. I mean, I'm doing things, but like, who cares anymore? Like, look at Trump.
Yeah, I know. Like there's no decency anymore.
It's like, in fact, like I always thought like, oh, I could get canceled for some of this stuff. It's like, this is nothing. This is nothing compared to this. Like,
I mean, people get famous for bad sex tapes, and this is actual art,
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think things, you could probably get away with more these days in terms of that. Maybe it's not as shocking anymore, but I think it's still interesting.
It's still pretty shocking.
And it's definitely like history. I mean, like now it's like, is it? I don't know. I guess I haven't seen it, but yeah. Cool. Yeah, let's transfer some of your tapes. Let's get something going.
Yeah, I mean, might as well be out there, right? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe you can just sell it on a DVD or
honestly,
something.
I could see like some of the songs coming out and maybe somebody just being like, "Oh, this is cool. I'll put this in my movie or put this in my TV
Exactly. Yeah. Have you thought maybe we could
we could? I wouldn't even care. Like, I'm sure Xavier wouldn't care. We could even put it. You can give your music away for TikTok and people can use it on TikTok videos. How do you do that?
Well, I think.
I don't care.
I think it's just the same process of like getting it on Spotify, and then those medium websites like DistroKid and stuff. They kind of just put it everywhere. Like Women of Sodom you can get that on TikTok and everything.
We're on
Instagram.
We were distributed by Orchard, and Orchard. We're on Apple Music. We're on.
Yeah.
Not
Countess isn't though.
No, we didn't.
But Women of Sodom is.
No, Countess isn't. You're right. I could have put it out there because
I have a similar question for Countess. Is there documentation? Is there videos of your shows and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's actually, I had a picture, and I think there was like video cameras.
I have videos. We made a music video. We have the Paradise video. There's a lot of videos.
I think you need to reissue some of these records with a visual component is maybe what you could do. But I don't know. Then that's the question of like, do people buy music anymore and physical media? And this right here.
Oh, right. Damien.
Are these are cameras that are actually filming you?
They're on stage. That was part of it. Like they're on stage filming.
That's what I thought.
And I think we were taking that footage and projecting it behind the stage. So like they would get in really close.
Right.
And then like.
Was it being recorded on tape at the same time?
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's awesome. We got to find this stuff.
See, that's Damien. He was my boyfriend later.
Mm-hmm.
And he has all that. He has so much footage of Woman of Sodom or Countess. I'm sorry, Countess.
Right. Yeah, well, I will put in the work, on my side time and run these tapes. Because I would love to see it. This is just personal for me, but
sure, why not?
Cool.
Let's get it out there. It's part of my life.
Yeah, exactly, and it's like it's kind of like the missing chapter.
Yeah, I'm proud of it. I think it was very interesting. I think it still very timely. And
yeah, it could have a resurgence. It's been like 30 years.
Oh my God, I know.
Think about, but like 1995 is 30 years.
Grandmas of Sodom. No, never. Do I look like a grandma to you?
No, but you could kind of be like the head mistress of a new batch of girls on stage.
I did think about that.
Yeah,
Oh!
like this,
I had a band called Betty Page Boy. Did you hear about that?
No, what's this band? And when does this fit in on the timeline?
Oh, this was fun. This was like between Countess and between Woman of Sodom. I had a band called Betty Page Boy, and it was really funny. And it was like all of the characters were like, it was ridiculous. There was a Mr. Clean character, and it was all like different products.
Okay.
I think I might have a video somewhere. It was.
What kind of music? Or were you with the singer again?
I was the singer. I had a background singer. Different one.
Not Melissa.
No, I didn't know Melissa.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But it was another singer. But it was. I don't know if there's any recordings of it. It was called Betty Page Boy, and it was weird.
There's no demo tapes or anything?
No, there was maybe some live show.
We
played a few shows, but it was weird. I think I have video because it was very visual.
And like, so that was the concept? Is like every song was like a product or something like that?
No.
Or what was your character? Were you dressed like Betty Page sort of?
I was Betty Page Boy. It was Mr. Clean was like there to save the day. And he was like, we had a guy who was bald.
Clean up your image.
He came up on stage and we danced. It was like, it was weird. I don't even know what it was about. I can't even remember. It was that weird. It was just like, I was doing weird performance art at the time. But I mean, you know about celebrity shit, right?
No, what's celebrity shit?
You don't know about that?
No.
Celebrity shit was in the year 2000. I was so fed up with celebrity obsession that I started this project called Celebrity Shit, which was like, we took toilets, Xavier and I, we would get like these toilets, and then we would get these stars engraved with celebrities' names, and then we would send people out to find the shit of the celebrity, and then we would put it in the resin in the toilet and emboss, like embed it in the toilet. Like we would find like maids of the people, and then we'd get it, and then we made several of these, and then we buried them. For a year, we would have these parades and then bury them in public places. There's one of Howard Stern that is buried. It's like we dumped it in the Charles River, and it's still there.
Wait, what is this exactly that you buried?
It was a shrine.
And
it was a toilet.
Like a whole full-ass toilet. You buried a whole toilet.
And we found somebody who was able to get Howard Stern's excrement, and we put it.
I don't know if I want to ask how that works.
It was complicated.
Yeah.
It was into the toilet and filled it with resin, and then there was a star on the toilet that got attached to the toilet that said his name, and then we had a whole thing. And in the middle of the night, we dumped it in the Charles River, and we made one for Martha Stewart. We made one for Courtney Love. We made a bunch of these, and then we just buried these all over. And there was just like celebrities that were just annoying. And I wrote a manifesto. And it was about how celebrities, like people are just getting known for just like nonsense and not like science or talent or whatever. And but it was a project I did.
Was there like
you know what I love the most about it is I was like, you know how you get Google alerts like for your name? Like I don't know if you do.
Yeah.
I got one, and then like there's this like a book about like sacred excrement. Like it was like somebody's thesis paper, and they made it like Oxford University made it into a hardcover book, and it was about sacred excrement, and they mentioned it in a citation. Excrement. Wow. It was called Excrement 2000. But someday they're going to be like, why is they're going to dredge the Charles River, and they're going to be like, oh my God, what is this?
Wow. And was there like a music component to that, or an artistic component, or just we were just being weird? How did people know? Did people know to look for these things?
We just did like these parades, and I think it was just in the newspapers. I don't know, my manifesto got published, I think, in the Boston Phoenix or something. It was just like a thing, and it was just like a year-long project, and it was just out there. The manifesto was very well written.
I'm guessing there wasn't like
we have photos.
Was there like a commercial aspect to this? Like, it was just pure art for art's sake, or was there
Honestly,
were you selling something?
There was never a commercial aspect to anything I ever did. Like, I'm not
Well, that's
about
not
that.
true. I mean, you
Not
could
about
buy
making
this CD. You know, that's a commercial aspect of this.
I mean,
band,
I
you
guess
know?
so, but it was like we spent anytime we made money, like we would get paid really well to do shows. We would put it all right back into the show.
Right.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
we just got paid like $3,000 for this show. Let's take it and put it into like we were gonna open for Tool. That would have been a good show. We were gonna open for Tool, but then they decided not to do the show because Levi's had their brand name on
With
it.
Women of Sodom.
Yeah, Woman of Sodom
Yeah.
was gonna open for Tool.
Wow. Yeah.
That would have been
You
great.
know, technically, I'm in a band with those guys. You know, I never met them, but I'm in Green Jelly. You know about Green Jelly?
Yeah. I looked at your stuff, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You remember the song Three Little Pigs?
Yeah.
That's the guys from Tool before Tool, like the
Oh,
Jenny
really?
playing drums
Do you know them?
and Maynard. No, I don't know them, but I mean, I know people who know them. You know, like there's. Uh-oh, we lost her. We'll see if she comes back. Yes, go get your green jelly stickers. That's me, Kevin the dinosaur. My green jelly character. If you want one of these, hit me up. Or I think I'm gonna be playing a show with them in Philly on the 4th. Oh boy. Thanks for guys, whoever's sticking around for this. That's cool. After this, you should go to my friend Jeff Premis's channel. He's interviewing Drew Stone tonight, and I was listening to that before I got on air. And I think I'm the only person who probably has been on both of those shows who was in that chat room for a while. And I want to say, yeah, and this came a while ago, but Ronan, thanks for being here. If you watch this on the replay, I see you. Oh, thank you. Yes, yes. You guys have any questions for Cynthia or for me? I guess it's me. It's my show right now. I guess it's a good time to do some plugs. The next show. Oh, is this the next show? I think I have one before Big Nazo. I think I have these out of order. But if you're talking about a weird performance art that I want to know more about, Big Nazo. Who knows? I don't know. I don't even know what they are exactly, but they exist and they're a bunch of monsters and they're international and there's lots of them and they're really cool. And I met this guy who I guess created Big Nazo at a Green Jello show. Speaking of Green Jello, and I was like, holy shit, you're Big Nazo? He wasn't in the costume at the time, but I was like, you got to be on my show. I got to ask you questions about this. Yeah, here's the next show, March 27th. I think it's still a plan that Thinky Flesh will be releasing their song Hobby Horse, which I actually play guitar on. They asked me to contribute. I wrote a guitar part for it. And Slim, who is now previous member of Green Jello. Yes, there's more than 1,000 of us, and I'm number 237. And now I think there's at least 1,020, 30, who knows. Get my album, yeah. We were talking a little bit about this before. My album, Quarantine Dream, every cover is hand drawn by me. So it's not only music on a CD, which you can put in a CD player, and also has an extra track at the end. That's only on the CD. But it's a piece of art. It's the best coaster you'll ever have. Or you could just listen to it on Bandcamp. It's not on Spotify yet. I have some moral dilemmas about that. But I think what I'm going to do is take my trilogy and make a best of for Spotify. But that's, something in the future. But Pop Perversion, that's what I'm going to be focusing on soon, is my band Pop Perversion, which is the more heavier side of my music. And this is what's more me. If I want to be known for the music, it's going to be for this. I think it's the best stuff I've ever done. And And it's too bad Cynthia is having technical difficulties because this is where one of our connections come into play. Brian Viglione from the Dresden Dolls plays on some of this stuff, as does Chris Mandry from Green Jello and Thinky Flesh. It's all connected, you guys, and I have a new logo coming. It's very exciting. I've seen just the start of it, but I have not seen the end of it yet. Oh, wow. Which one did you see? Thank you. Yeah, I've been just, if you subscribe to my channel, because every once in a while, I'll put up a Green Jello show. I record all the shows. I try to get the soundboard audio. I have multiple camera angles, and it's a whole presentation. And lately, I've been putting out some of the house party shows we did. Yeah, house party Green Jello shows. That's nuts. Grammy-nominated band in your backyard, or one of them we did in a garage, and we just had, at the end of the show, everybody who was there was just in the garage with us. It was pretty wild. I mean, not wild as in anything super crazy happened, but just the concept of us playing in a garage for like 20 people. It's like, what's happening here? I don't think most of them even knew who we were. Yeah, Brian's one of my favorite, if not my favorite living drummer. And actually the tracks he did for us were meant for my band Vonesper. We recorded it back almost like 10 years ago. And yeah, I'm still finishing those songs. And if you guys know any great singers, I'm looking for some singers. I think this is going to be a project where it's, every song's going to have a different singer, or there'll be a stable of people around me, as I would be the main member. And of course, The Life and Slimes of Dookie Flyswatter and Haunted Garage is the documentary I'm making about Dookie Flyswatter at Haunted Garage. Maybe I should play another trailer for that while we see what's going on. I've been working real hard. This is what I'm doing right now. Hardcore. I think I will have a rough cut to my liking done this weekend. And then what's going to happen to it will be up for discussion. Let's see. Here you go. Here's a little trailer while we see if Cynthia comes back.
What influence did B movies have on the band?
How many tapes do you have? How many loads have you got?
It started out as a band that was covering bad songs from bad movies.
I mean, it should be looked at as a legacy of Los Angeles.
They lived the movie lifestyle.
I had seen many of Dookie's movies long before I knew who he was.
I first saw Dookie Flyswatter in a Green Jello video.
Because as soon as I saw him up on the stage, I go, oh, fuck, that's that guy from Surf Nazis.
Roger Ebert said it's the worst movie he's ever seen.
They were such a part of our scene.
You know, a cult movie that's got its own fans. We've attracted our own fans and our own family.
Within a city of misfits like Hollywood, we were misfits.
He's an icon of the underground exploitational genre.
Punk rock god of Hollywood.
It was neat to see the same faces always orbiting this universe that Dookie Flyswatter seemed to be in the center of.
There was celebrities, weird people, cool people, interesting people.
Axl and Sass came to see us, and I slimed them really good.
Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons.
Tom Waits was there.
I remember Fishbone showing up at a couple of gigs.
Courtney Love was afraid of us.
When you're sitting between Dookie and Elvira, it doesn't get any cooler than that.
Spike Lee wasn't impressed.
I'm just about to go on stage and Flea grabs my shoulder.
White Zombie and Haunted Garage and Tool were all in the same bill.
I think Soundgarden was opening for you. I would not be surprised.
I did a nude painting.
Clive Barker owns that painting.
Los Angeles seems to be a haven for insularly popular artist situation. You can destroy here, and nobody knows where you are anywhere else. No. It's crazy.
We'd like to be an A movie someday.
A B-A movie. An A-B movie.
A B-A movie?
A B-A.
Cut!
Hello, it's me. I'm back. I think she's coming back. Let's see. Cross your fingers. Get another drink, for yourself. Let's see what's going on. Hello. What happened?
Well, my computer died.
Womp womp.
My computer just died. So I don't know. Do you want to keep going or should we stop?
Well, I mean, we could close it out, but I'm still streaming, so we're still live. Is there any?
No one's gonna stay on this long, so
That's okay. I'm having fun.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we can start closing it out for sure, but it seemed like it was a little too abrupt. It would be
Okay.
nice to
Well,
close it out.
here's what we're gonna do.
Yes.
I'm gonna go fix my lipstick,
Okay.
and I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna have a little bit more port, and then we will close it out.
Sounds great.
I'm getting hungry. I need to eat some dinner.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay. All right. We'll be right back. Say hi to my
Cool.
dog.
Hello.
Here.
Woof. Hey, dog. What's the name of your dog?
Sky.
Hey, Sky. Sky. Let's talk to Sky. Let's see if we can get Sky on here. Sky, would you like to be the first dog guest of the VonPod? No. He's like, I'm not interested. I think Sky just probably wants to run around and eat as well. She doesn't return, you win the drinking contest. It's not a contest.
Come here. This is Sky.
Hello, Sky.
Come here. Come on, up. This is Sky.
Aw.
Okay.
Well, welcome back. Part 3. This is the third act.
Third act. Right. I left the door open over there.
Is that a problem? Do you need to go
No.
close it?
Just a cat might walk through.
Well, I don't know what that means. Is that good or bad?
Well, if the cat walks through, peeks its head through, the dog might get weird.
Oh, okay. Well, do you need to go close the door?
There might be some screaming. And oh, there's a cat.
Oh.
Finch. So we'll see if a cat comes through. There might be a little action.
Oh.
Hmm.
They're not friendly with each other or what?
Not really.
Oh, okay. How do they react to all the pigeons?
They don't. Well, the dog barks at the pigeons, and it's not fun. It's not. It's very stressful for me. Like the pigeons. So the pigeons I rescued from New York. They live here. They live out their lives, and then when in the warm weather, I have a door. They have a coop and the door, and they fly free all around the house and around the lake, and they fly free, and they have freedom, and they go back in. I taught them to home. But the dog drives me nuts because the dog will bark and bark and bark at them. And it's just like, I don't want that. It's like, I want to be calm when I go out there with my animals, pigs. Right. I go out. It's my Zen meditation time. I go out and I'm with the animals. I don't want barking.
Right. And how do you, well, I guess you talked about the oil paintings you want to do, but, and the animals are represented in the Illuminati ball, but do the animals influence your art in any other way?
Animals are my passion, and they're in all of my work, really. All my stories have animals in them, and I just love animals. I just think they're pure and so much better than humans. I think the human race is going to be to go away, and I think now, maybe sooner than I thought. And I think I hope animals and the environment will live on.
Yeah.
It's good at healing itself.
What do you think, what's going to be our downfall? Is it going to be the AI or what's your vision?
I think it's going to be just humans.
Yeah.
I've always thought it will be, oh, there's a cat. I've always thought it will be nuclear, something new, like a nuclear thing, or war, or climate. I've been really researching climate a lot for my work, and
are we fucked? Are we just cooked? What's the deal?
I think we are pretty much fucked. I think the human race, it has a timeline, and I think it's now shorter. and it's okay. It's actually okay, you know, like it's something to be sad about. Like the dinosaurs had their time and we had our time and we fucked it up and it's okay. You know, the world will go on. There will be other creatures that will come. Maybe it'll be the tardigrades, the moss piglets and the water bears. Maybe they'll take over. They're very resilient. But I think that the human race is pretty much. This is why I didn't have children, and I just feel like I would say maybe 100, 200 years at most.
Okay, so not in our generation. I mean,
maybe. Oh, totally, but it's not going to go completely.
Yeah,
it'll take time to go completely, and because even if nuclear war happens, there are going to be some areas that are going to be people are going to take some time to peter out. Unless the climate, then it could be we could just all go. If it becomes like an ice age or whatever. But yeah, I'm really positive we are.
Well, here, I guess I can relate this back to your art in a way. Tesla and his, his, I guess his inventions or the myth of his inventions could have saved the world probably, right?
Come here.
Hello.
Come here. Oh, went that way. That's Boo. I have two cats, Boo and Finch, like Boo Radley and Atticus Finch.
Ah, literary. I see. Yes.
Very To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah. So I don't know what the question is exactly, but in your research of Tesla, like, is this technology a myth or was it real? And I know from interviews I've heard from you, there's obviously now the name Tesla is in our popular culture.
Oh God, I know.
Right, and there's definitely the association with the president. But
can I tell you that I met Elon Musk?
Did you?
Yeah.
Yes, tell me about it.
Want to hear this story?
Yes, of course.
Okay, this is an interesting story.
So I was gonna, before you say, I was gonna tie this back to. I know you had a story about Trump's grandfather, right? And Tesla uncle, being related as
John
well.
Trump. His uncle was a scientist, actually not a bad man. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he kind of he was there. They were researching whether or not Tesla's not the car, but the science.
Yeah.
Whether his
before it was a company, it was a man.
Yeah, it was the book.
Yeah.
The Girl Who Electrified Tesla.
Right.
All of these are available in comic book stores and Amazon.
Yes, I should be getting mine on Monday.
Yeah, and so yeah, that's all part of the Minky Woodcock series. But yeah, Tesla's a really interesting guy. Like I really love him. He also loved pigeons. He was in love with a pigeon.
Right, I heard that. Yeah.
Married to a pigeon, and I really related to that because I had a really strong relationship with a pigeon. Like we were kind of bonded. Like he would sit on my head. And he just loved me. We loved each other, and so I understand being married to a pigeon. Pigeons are pretty special creatures, but I guess I'm going off on a tangent.
That's all right. Yeah, it's all related.
That's also true. It's like this book is about, was he murdered? Was Tesla murdered because of he had come up with this invention to, this death ray that could, or is that real? Is it not real? And
what's your read on that? Is it real or is it not real?
I think he was working on a lot of things. I think he was really interested in giving free power to people, and the whole internet and all of that and free power. He didn't want people to pay for power, and he was working on it with his Wardenclyffe factory, which is on. They're trying to bring it back now. It's on Long Island, and but J.P. Morgan, who was his financier, who was financing it, didn't want free power for the world. He wanted people to pay for power. Like he didn't want to make I'm not gonna give people free power. And he was.
Yeah. What does that do for the corporations?
Yeah. So it basically that he was like, no, I don't want to give people free money, free power. Like we want to pay people we want to make money. And so Tesla was really a cool guy who really wanted to help the world. He didn't care about money. It's like me, like I never really did any of my art to get money. Like it's great when it comes, but it's like it's not my goal. And I don't think Tesla's goal. I think Tesla's goal was to help the world and to help bring true power and there's so many things you could do with. And I think he was a genius, absolute genius. And I wish he could have fulfilled some of his missions. But I think the whole thing with the death ray was just him trying to get attention, to get money for his tower. This is just my take on it. In my books, I never really give you the answer. I give you the facts, and they're crime books, but I give you the fact, like unlike like other crime books where you like Sherlock Holmes, where you have to figure it out. I give the facts. It's more like true crime. I give you the facts and you decide. Like, what do you think after reading this book? Like, these are true facts. I added my character
that's
in there.
what I mean, I haven't read them yet, but I think from what I know about your books, it's like, that's fascinating because there's true history behind it. And
I don't know if anybody else does a book like this where it's like, it's true crime. There's like the fiction of my character, you know what I mean? Like there's this character that's like this, but everything else is real. So it's like, it's kind of true crime mixed with history.
Yeah.
And
a little bit of sex.
I really get into it. I love researching it and finding these interesting facts, but they're all real. And that's what's so beautiful about it. And so like my take, I have my own personal take on each one of these stories. Was Houdini murdered? Was Tesla murdered? Was like this whole Cthulhu thing, like did writers help end World War II? Yes, they did. Was Lovecraft a fucking racist? Yes, he was a horrible Nazi racist, but he also was a good writer.
Right.
If you like that kind of thing.
And he let people use his stories.
Have you read that book yet? Because
no, I haven't read
what
that.
I do to
I will.
What I do to H.P. Lovecraft. Whew,
okay.
I do some crazy things to H.P. Lovecraft that. Yeah.
Well, I'm anticipating. Yeah, I'll definitely be pre-ordering that graphic novel. Everybody go.
Aleister Crowley really does it to him.
But, okay. Yeah. Let me bring it back to what I was talking about with because I wanted you to tell me about the history of what is his name, John Trump.
Oh, John Trump. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this book.
Just since it's so interesting to relate to the current,
Yeah. Okay. So, and I didn't tell you how I know.
Right, and then we're going to talk about Elon Musk.
Okay. So John Trump was a scientist, and God, I wrote this a while ago, so I got to go back and get my mind back on this. But when Tesla, the scientist Tesla, when he decided he had supposedly made a death ray,
right, and
he died kind of mysteriously. He was like in the New Yorker hotel, and he was found.
And you stayed in that room too.
I did.
That's
we stayed in the room. My actor, my models, and I. We went in the room, and I drew in the room, and we got one of those things where you do the electrical thing with you put your hands on it and your hair goes up. Like we did some weird stuff in the room. Like because
did they advertise it as Tesla's room, or do you have to know what to ask for?
You can rent Tesla's room. Yeah, you can rent Tesla's room. And I'm actually next week I'm going to a dinner party at the New Yorker Hotel. And they're having the Tesla, the Wardenclyffe Museum is having a fundraiser there. And we're all meeting to talk about him and his life and his time there. And so that'll be interesting. But he used to have parties like that. Like he used to have dinner parties with like people when they talk about science and talk about like politics and what's going on in the world. So they're trying to recreate that to get funding for their Wardenclyffe Museum because they want to rebuild it. But he's really interesting. And then like John Trump was like, he was Donald Trump's uncle.
Okay.
And he was actually a smart guy. He was a radiologist. He was really, he was studying radiology and x-rays and things like that and cancer treatments and things like that. And for some reason he knew someone in politics and they asked him to be the person to look at Tesla's all of his papers to see if he really had invented a death ray. And he said no. And the funny thing about it was that Tesla's got a sense of humor because he never paid his bills. He didn't really make money. And he was staying in another hotel before he stayed at the New Yorker. And he gave them a box and he said, "This is the death ray. I'm giving you the death ray. Put it, like instead of my rent, here's my death ray." And it was just
all a grift.
But it was just like he just did that to pay his rent because everyone's like, "Oh, he's making the death ray." But it was just like, so like they're looking at that. Like he just did that to pay his rent. Like there were records of him coming up with a death ray that are in, that went back to, that you can find. And my book like is about that, like what happened to the actual designs of the death ray. Now, interestingly, my dad is a electrical engineer and he worked on Star Wars and he worked on nuclear weapons and guidance systems, which is weird. So like he helped me a little bit with this book on some of the science on it, but like his whole idea was similar to Tesla, was just like, if you make nuclear weapons, that's a deterrent so that, no one will ever use them. We never want them used. And that's what the whole thing with the death ray was. It was sort of like a nuclear weapon kind of thing. Like, oh, if we have this, no one will use it. So, but you have to read the book to see what you think. Everyone has to read the book.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, it happened. We got it.
Come here. There's some growling and you behave. I'm going to go shut the door.
Okay. Then we're going to talk about Elon Musk.
There's still a cat in here, so there could still be some action.
Okay.
If there's a cat behind me, boo. Okay, Elon Musk. So I had a play called The Brothers Booth. It was another immersive play. We did it at the Players Club, which is John Wilkes Booth's brother's mansion. Edwin Booth, an actor, was John Wilkes Booth. I don't know, the guy who killed Lincoln.
Right.
His brother was an actor and had a big mansion in New York City in Gramercy Park. And it is now a museum. And I was asked to do a play there about these characters. So I wrote one about.
So they came to you with this story, basically.
Yes.
This time?
Well,
okay.
I had, it was a little bit. A producer came to me. Hold on, I need to get rid of this cat.
Sure.
I hear growling in the background. See, this is Boo.
Oh, hello, Boo.
Boo.
Mr. Radley.
Boo Radley, go. Stop haunting us, Boo. This story was about. Interestingly, there's like this sort of a sibling rivalry between these two brothers. One was kind of like very timely because one was sort of like a MAGA head and the other one was like a Democrat. John Wilkes Booth was really, really sort of like he was in the Southern Hemisphere doing his acting in the Southern Hemisphere, and Edwin was doing his acting in the Northern, more lofty hemisphere. And and so like they were like kind of, he's like, you can have that and I'll have this. He actually had a map and he's like, this is where you're going to perform and this is where I'm going to perform. But one was very south and one was very north. And during the war, this whole fight between the brothers for who's going to be the actor. And John Wilkes, that's why he kind of killed Lincoln. It's like this whole story. So it was about sibling rivalry, really. I think he killed Lincoln because of sibling rivalry. And
really interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah,
I made a play about it. This hasn't been.
And I knew it happened in a theater, right? But I didn't know, of course, like there was no movies or anything back then, so everything was probably.
It's a really interesting story. My story was my play was called The Brothers Booth, and we did it for how long did we do it? We did it for several weeks at the Players Club. Like it was cool. It was a cool venue. We actually like his bedroom, Edwin Booth's bedroom. We had a secret key, and we'd take people up there because it still looks exactly like his bedroom when he died. Like it's got the slippers by the bed and his picture of his girlfriend. Wow. But yeah, so that was a really interesting story. But that play, which was one of my short-lived plays, wasn't one of my favorites. It was good. And it was immersive. But a friend of Elon Musk wanted to have a party at it. He'd heard about it and he wanted to have a party. So he said, we're going to have a birthday party for me and Elon, and whatever. I'm going to have a party and we're going to pay you and we're going to have a party in part of the room of this thing. And then we're going to go see the play. So they were supposed to pay us $4,000 for this party on top of their tickets or whatever to do this thing. And then they wrote us a check. And I had a production company at the time. So I wasn't really working with the whole money part of it. And the check bounced.
What?
And yeah, and this was Elon Musk's friend. And Elon Musk came to this play.
Mm-hmm.
Stupidly, none of my actors told me Elon Musk was there. Like I didn't really know until after the
Did you
fact.
know who he was at the time?
Yeah, I knew who he was, of course, but I was like, but I was busy dealing with the play. Like I was dealing with the play, and they were my assistant was working with the whole party. That was like a kind of a lame part of it. Oh, there's a party. We're making extra money on this party, but they rented a bus, and the bus was out front, and so they took at the end of the play, they took my actors onto the bus, and gave them drugs. And like took them on a ride, and this was Elon Musk's bus, and
The Musk bus.
the Musk bus,
Yeah.
and they like basically took my actors and took them like I mean, that's
Were you offended that you didn't go with them?
no, I was
Okay.
upset that like basically these people are on my dime, like I'm paying for them, I'm responsible for their safety, and this person paid to have a party. They should not have felt like they had to go on this bus. They may have felt like they had to do it. I don't know.
Right.
And so like they went on this bus, and then I heard this later that they took drugs, and then the check bounced, and my production company, lame, they year went by, and they're like, well, we never got that money from Elon Musk's friend. I'm like, are you kidding me?
That's crazy.
It's $4,000. So like we're gonna have to lose like no. And I went on to X, Twitter at the time, and
Right.
I just said, Elon Musk came to my play and had a party, and his friend's check bounced, and he took my actor, my actors, and he wrote back and said, I didn't go to your play. And I'm like,
He replied to you directly?
yes.
Wow.
Like, excuse me, you did go there, and your check bounced, and then I got paid the next day.
Wow. Okay. Hey, that's how you do it.
He called his friend and was like, make sure, oh my God, you didn't like pay them. Like, cause like the richest guy in the world
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
won't like check bounced like his friend for his party. It was a party for him.
Okay. I know someone who was hired to like, I don't know, I wouldn't say model for one of his parties, but like be like a pretty girl presence. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it has a correlation to this story, but I think this was back when he was doing PayPal, so it was probably before this.
Yeah.
I heard it was it was all like Asian girls, and it was kind of like a weird vibe. And it was like burlesque dancers from New York and people you probably know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in some ways he's kind of like a cool guy. Like he could have been like a cool guy, like a smart ADHD guy, like that could be friends with.
Well, he was pretty cool until all this other bullshit happened.
I know. Like, I actually like wanted to get a Cybertruck at some point. I gave the $100, but then when all this went down and then he didn't pay me, I'm like, fuck that. I never got my $100.
This was like somewhat recently because I mean, with going a whole history of your work here, like this is more recent history.
When was this?
Because Twitter. That was only a couple years ago he bought Twitter. 2 years ago or something.
This was before he bought it.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
It was before I got off Twitter. I'm not on it anymore.
I never really used. I have an account, but I
was on it a lot. I made some really good friends, and I had a really good time on it for a while. And I got paid. That was probably the best thing about it. I got that.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like the money. It was just like fucking the richest guy in the world, and your party.
Well, at least he was, made that happen.
He did. I'll
I'll give him credit where credit's due.
Yeah, I thanked him. Thank you for that and whatever. Thank you. Well, like, okay, thank you. You got paid, whatever. And I had no problem. And I think even after that, I was like cool with him, even though he gave people drugs, like, which I have no problem with drugs, but like,
Right.
It was just like, they're my actors. I feel protective of them.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially the women
Mhm.
or the men. I felt protective of them.
I mean, did you talk to your actors afterwards? Like, did they feel?
They told me after the fact. Like, this is the thing with my actors.
Did they have a good time on the bus?
I don't know. I think they did.
Yeah, because it sounds like it could have been a good time.
Oh no, they don't tell me. I'm like the mother.
Right. They're like,
find out this stuff later. Like,
yeah.
I find out that like two of my main actors are like two guys are having sex. I don't know. Like they don't tell me until like 5 years later. I'm like, oh, you guys were having sex? I didn't know that. Like, like I didn't even know that we had our check bounce for a year.
Right.
Like that my production company didn't tell me.
Right.
Which was stupid.
Edison was busy electrocuting elephants and filming his Frankenstein.
Oh, Edison. He's like the bad guy in the book. And JP Morgan.
Right. Well, he's still the bad guy, right? The bad corporation. And let me relate this back to current again. Do you feel like, as being such a historian and I guess a fan of Tesla, the man, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like his legacy is being tarnished right now by everything that's happening? Like, do you have any feeling about that?
As I do, I feel like a lot of people don't know it was a guy. Like, I think that
that's crazy. I mean, I knew about the guy before the company, of course.
I think that a lot of people don't know about like science in general. Like going back to the whole celebrity shit project, like science is a thing. Like it should be honored like more than anything. And right now, science is treated like crap. Like
they should be the rock stars,
They should be the rock stars, really. Honestly, like the scientists, like astronauts. Not like the Kardashian idiots.
Right. Yeah.
Like, okay,
I'm going back to just people who got famous from sex tapes.
If I was doing, like, there's so many people that I could be doing celebrity shit about, but like the Kardashians are a perfect example of, like, they're just people who are just like not really talented, and they're like getting all this publicity, and they're just like, it's celebrity shit. It's celebrity shit. I did a song. Celebrity shit, celebrity tits. It's on the Countess album.
Right. Yeah.
But it was at the same time I did the celebrity shit song.
Gotcha.
But they're all just a bunch of. It's not how things should be. I feel like I'm living in there's alternate realities. And
we're on the upside down, man.
I feel like there's probably another alternate reality where Splashdown did get their album out, and they're like the fucking Beatles.
Right.
And like and like Al Gore won, and like the environment's good. Like I feel like right now we are in the worst possible alternate reality, and I'm just like,
what's up with that?
We're in the worst alternate reality. Donald Trump president. Like, I mean, this is the worst. Like please, like, kill me now.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I know how to combat that is just keep doing what I'm doing, like make art and make art for art's sake. And, the future is very uncertain. So
it is.
I don't know what else to do.
Really, I think that we just need to try to be happy and try to make people suffer less.
One of my best friends got doged.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I met a guy in a bar. He got doged.
Crazy. They his entire agency 18F, they did like they were basically fixed all of the government technology, and were the ones creating like the tax website to like do your taxes for free and stuff. And of course that's not good for the corporations, so get rid of all of it.
No, I actually have relatives that are MAGA supporters, and
I'm sure I do too. I don't really talk to them.
Are you Italian?
No, I'm Irish. Yeah.
Yes. It's like either Irish or, because we have that, even though we're both Fonz, we both have the same kind of like pale skin and dark hair.
Yes, my ghastly pale skin. Yes, I bathe in the moon. Oh yeah, I wanted to say this a couple hours ago when we were talking about vampires, that I'm not a vampire, although I respect that subculture. I'm just a general creature of the night. I can't do the fangs and the blood, but the skin tone.
Yeah, me too.
And I have no tattoos, so it's very pure.
I have no pet tattoos either.
Hey, we're the new alternative. That's what I call us.
I remember when like I knew all these people and they were getting all these body piercings and tattoos, and they're like, "Don't you want to?" I'm like I am as an
Right,
artist.
especially in like, the women of
I have a
Sodom.
nose
I'm
piercing.
sure it'll.
Yeah,
goes on.
I did pierce my nose myself.
I have the eyebrow, and I used to have a nipple pierced, but
But as far as tattoos go, I feel like there's no image that I would want on my body forever because like I'm
Right.
always changing. I'm
Mhm.
changing styles. I'm changing. Unless I was going to completely cover my whole body like a tattooed lady with the history of imagery of my life. Having one or two images, it would just not make sense.
yeah, it's just not that important to me. Plus, it costs money, and it's like, I don't know.
Also, the ink probably.
I'm not against it. It's just I haven't done it. I've never
I
did
have
it.
sensitive skin. I would be allergic to it.
Oh, well, that's a problem too.
I
Yeah.
heard that like people who have a lot of tattoos they can get cancer too. Probably
Well, can't everything give you cancer at this point? Yeah.
like this.
Yeah, right. Does alcohol give you cancer? I mean, I guess it's sort of a poison, right?
They say that lately. They've been saying again now that it does. But like my grandma lived to like.
I don't drink that much, so.
My grandma lived to 107 and she drank a ton of wine. So
107. Wow, my grandma's 102 right now. 107. Wow.
My family has longevity. I did my biological age test, and I'm 20 years younger than my age. So my biological age is 20
Wait,
years.
how does that work? And what's the science behind that?
They have these different things. You can do a blood test where they check your telomeres. Your telomeres are like, they're sort of like inside your body. It's part of your DNA, and it's almost like a shoelace. And your telomeres are like the ends of the shoelace. It's like the part that's like a plastic coating.
Right.
And it protects the shoelace from coming unraveled. Your telomeres, when that plastic goes away, it comes unraveled, and that's when you start getting cancer and cicada and all this stuff. So like if your telomeres are long, the protective coating on your thing is long, then you live longer. So they have a blood test they can take to test your telomeres and tell you what your age is based on your telomeres. So my biological age was 20 years younger than my real age. And my family tends to have longevity. So it's really interesting. I find it, I don't know like if the science is all there, and there's a lot of things that come into play, like your DNA and your whatever, but
yeah. Is there like a specific way to prolong that? Like, is there something you can do?
Yes. So there are things you can do to fasting. Something I do naturally. I eat one meal a day. I eat dinner only. I don't eat all day. Like I don't have breakfast. I don't have lunch. I eat one meal. So that's considered fasting, and that's really good for your telomeres. I just do it naturally, and maybe that's a vampire in me.
Right.
But it is one way. There's also exercising. And
Which I need to do more of. I've been doing too much work. Got to get back to the gym.
I have a personal trainer. And I meet with her, and I do.
Yes, the gyminatrix. That's what I need.
I have a gym. Oh, she's brutal. She's brutal. But I do it on. She lives in Texas now. She was a New Yorker, but she moved to Texas during COVID, so we do it on Zoom. But yeah, she kicks my ass.
I thought for sure it was frazzle dripped adrenochrome that's keeping her look. See, this is funny because this was something that we touched on in the beginning, and I wanted to get back to. I'll relate this to something you posted recently.
I have another thing why I'm looking on, but go on.
Okay, well, this will dovetail into that anyways. Okay. When we were making the flyer for the show, and I saw you posted those pictures, and I was like, oh, these are cool. Maybe I can use one of these, not realizing they were from like, God, 20-something years ago.
Oh my God, those were from the 90s.
Right, and you were like, well, I pretty much look the same anyways. And I was like, you kind of do. Like, what is the secret? I wanted to get into that a little bit, more, I guess more just as an offhand compliment, but like,
you do.
If we're getting into the science of it. Let's get into the science of it.
Okay. So genetically, I'm Italian. We have good DNA. My family lives, my dad's 90, my 93, my mom's 90. They're both fairly healthy. But I recently was diagnosed. I was having some aches and pains, and I went to the physical therapist. I went to the doctor, and I have scoliosis. They did an X-ray, and they're like, your bones look great for your age. Your bones are great. Like, Like, no, there's nothing wrong with you. And then they're like, and then you're really flexible too. You're really flexible. Like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I went to a physical therapist. Go see a physical therapist. Went to the physical therapist. He's like, you're a bendy person.
What does that mean? A bendy person?
I'm like, what? No one's ever told me I'm a bendy person. He's like, you're really, really flexible. Like, I don't know if you can see me now, but I'm sitting with my legs up. I always have my legs up, right? So like, he's like, you're a bendy person and you're really, really flexible and you can, like, he tested the way my legs move.
There you go. There's one of those photos.
Yeah. That was like from the 90s. And I think my profile looks pretty much the same.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I'm pretty impressed.
That's a really good profile. But the bendy person, it's, if you look it up, it's crazy. It's like our skin, like, so we are very flexible, but our skin is very elastic.
That's just like genetically and yeah.
And you're very flexible, but you're like, so you're like, your feet can go back like this and whatever, and you have no wrinkles on your face. But your skin heals. It's very sensitive. I have very sensitive skin. I call it rose petal skin. It's very easily damaged and it's very sensitive. And I like chemicals. I can't have chemicals. It's like very sensitive.
Maybe that's what saves it, right? Not putting chemicals on your face all the time.
Yeah, I can't use anything. I use only organic and whatever. But being a bendy person, not only does it, you don't get wrinkles because your skin is really elastic, but you also like.
Right, this is a gift for everyone who's still here, I guess.
This is nuts. Okay, your skin is soft, and so like whenever I get a massage, they're like, "Oh my God, you've got baby skin." Baby skin. This is like a baby's bottom. Your skin's like a baby's bottom. So like when he said that, I looked it up, and it's like your skin as a bendy person is really, really soft, and you have no wrinkles, and you have depression, and you have ADHD, and you have sleep issues. And if you look up bendy person, it's like all these things that I am. Like you're like it's not all good, because yeah, you look young and you're flexible, but you have a lot of body aches because your body, you have agoraphobia or physical anxiety because your body is so loose that you can't hold your muscles in. So when you're walking, you feel like you're going all over the place. So like it makes you anxious in the environment. So like I suffer from agoraphobia, and I'm like, wow, this is nuts. Not only do I get baby skin, but I also have like depression, ADHD, anxiety.
So
OCD.
Is it like the more things you have, the younger it keeps us?
When I looked up like all the symptoms of being a bendy person, it's like there's a name, Danlos something. Danlos, it's a disease. And my nephew has it really bad, where he has it so bad that his joints come out of socket. But I don't have that bad. But it's, and so I called my mom. I'm like, Mom, I think we're all bendy people. I think like we're bendy.
That's the new band name, Bendy People. We're starting a band. It's called Bendy People.
And then my sister can touch her tongue to her nose. I'm like, Mom, one of the symptoms of being a bendy person is being able to touch your tongue to your nose. And she's like, oh my God, Veronica can do that. Like,
can you do that?
I can almost do it. Yeah, almost. I can put my legs over my shoulders and walk on my hands like a crab.
Well, I won't ask you to do that.
Not attractive.
No. Okay. Yeah.
But that's the kind of stuff bendy people can do.
Yeah.
I think the splits though.
No, I mean, do you think if you weren't doing the exercise and everything? What's that?
No one's told me before that I'm a bendy person. I'm finding this out now. It's like weird.
Well, I guess how would you know until you like investigate it, right?
I didn't know, but like people have looked at my body before. I went to Children's Hospital my whole life for my scoliosis. So like it's like no one ever told me I was a bendy person.
Wow.
Anyway.
Well,
that is the secret of my
That's
youth.
the secret is have lots of problems and be a bendy person. And don't put chemicals on your face.
You can look young, but you've got depression, anxiety.
What about drugs? Can we do drugs?
Take your what do you want? Do you want to look young, or do you want to be like a, ADHD maniac?
I don't know. I mean, is that a rhetorical question?
Maybe.
I don't know. The way I keep young, I think, is just putting glitter on my face. So
Yeah,
I'm
you
shy.
look really
I
young
don't
too.
know.
You've got good skin. You look good.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't know what my secret is because I'm definitely older than I look. You know,
Yeah,
being
you
the
are.
fact that I've known who you are for 30 years,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, that's like,
Just
wow.
knowing Woman of Sodom ages you.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow.
This is Sky. Sky's a rescue from Texas.
Hello, Sky.
Hi, say hi.
That's awesome. So I think we pretty much did it. What do you think?
I think so. I think we talked about a lot. I think we could
Yeah.
keep going, but I think we
We
got a lot.
could. Yeah, I feel like, leave them wanting a little more. Maybe we'll do this again
Totally.
sometime.
Like I almost kind of wanted to just not even call you back and just be like, oh, she just like signed off.
Yeah, no, well, we almost did it, but no, I'm glad we did this. I think it's a good end cap for it,
Okay.
And I think it's a gift for anyone who actually watches all this. It's 3.5 hours. Can you believe it?
Wow.
You're a very interesting person.
Like, do you want to hear me talk for 3.5 hours?
I'm endlessly fascinated by you. So yes, I've been wanting to have this conversation for decades,
Oh, that's very sweet.
and now I have a platform
We'll have to
to
keep
do
your
it.
life. Are you in New York City or New York?
I'm close. I'm in the suburbs, but I'm in the city like
I have a lot
all
of
the time.
parties, so you'll have to come to one of my parties.
Yes, please. And then next time we do this,
party. We're gonna have when the book comes out. We're gonna have the book party. So you have to come.
oh, definitely. I'll bring a camera if you want.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I would love that.
apartment
We
is-
definitely have to meet. We didn't discover if were ever actually in a room together, but
Yeah, we
we're
will
gonna make it
be in
happen.
a room together soon.
Yeah. And then next time we do this, we'll have some more archive material because I'm gonna take all your tapes.
Yes.
And that's like one of the goals too, is like I wanted to find out what's in the archive because I want to save it.
Full videos, yeah, and they're just I'll send them to you. There's some good stuff, I think.
Or just give it to me when I see you in New York, or whatever.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, let's do it. Thank you so much. This is
All right.
super
Thank you,
cool.
Kevin. It was really nice
Yeah.
talking to you.
Yeah, likewise. I'm glad I could be your therapist for the night. I hope you feel cathartic about it. I don't want to depress you.
The splashdown stuff. I'm still.
I know, but it's like endlessly fascinating to me as well because it's like
It's
you
not
guys go listen to Blue Shift. It's incredible.
Oh, everyone should. It's so good.
It's
like
timeless. It's
they're like
timeless
the
music.
Beatles. It's like as good as the Beatles.
Yeah,
and I'm
and
not
like
just exaggerating. It's really.
and and if you like that, go check out the new stuff they put out, and go listen to Universal Hall Pass, Melissa's other project.
And Inspiring Song and all the other big, like the compilations. You can probably find them out there somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
My attic, if you
I don't
want.
know if you can find these online anywhere, but
I might have some.
You got to set up like a Bandcamp or something for Cynthia Von Buhler,
Yeah, or just like
start selling that stuff again.
Give them out for free.
Or that, it's like if you know about it, then you should have one,
I like giving things for free.
Well, there it is.
If I have a party or a dinner party, I always give gifts. So like those are good gifts.
Yeah. Well, this is so cool. Well, thank you so much. Any last words?
No, but thank you. It was nice talking to you.
Yeah,
we went over time again.
I know. We were about 3 hours and 15 minutes past that time limit.
I'm gonna go eat something. I'm hungry.
Yeah, me too. Everyone go eat.
And then I'm gonna go to bed. And then I'm gonna go to California.
Right. Yeah.
I'm celebrating Nowruz, Persian New Year. So happy Persian New Year.
Oh, cool. I didn't know. Well,
yeah.
Great. I will have a drink to that. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Let me do the closing song, which got to remind everybody to like, share, and subscribe. Help me with the algorithm, man. Okay. Where's my X? Here it is. There's the outro. Bye-bye.
Like, share, subscribe.